What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Reality Kingdom, where we put the real in reality or whatever. Period. I'm your host, Pharaoh. We're joined by our wonderful co-host Lee, and we're back with another season of Big Brother Rewind. Let me get some bombs in the chat. Let me get some bombs and some fireworks in the chat. Let me get
I don't think they want to hear. Oh, okay, here I go.
Oh, the girls is here.
Here I go.
Period, Bussay.
Period. I know that's right. Real ones in the chat. Real ones in the chat. Period. Because I can see how the girls wouldn't be here because it's BB5. No shade. I don't know. Are the girls into BB5 like that? I don't know. Period. Teledrama simmer in the chat. I know that's right. Mary
Duda in the chat.
Okay.
Like Raquan in the chat.
Look, they know we be late. That's what they do.
So they came on time.
They said I'll come when I get the live notification.
Exactly.
Okay. I see
Period,
y'all.
Period, M. This is not BB Can 5. It's not BB Can 5.
We'll get there because y'all voting it.
Unfortunately,
y'all voting it.
Let me get off of y'all.
The man said we're earlier than usual. Is it because we 5 minutes past?
5 minutes late.
Damn, so real. I'm tuning for y'all, not BB5, so it don't matter. I know that's right. That's right. Who told you? I can't wait to hear your thoughts on Diane so far.
You can wait.
City, bitch. Flop City, bitch. Girl.
Y'all are going to be, I think y'all are going to be surprised when we get into the details of the feeds, because I was surprised. Honestly,
I was gooped and gagged.
The people who I didn't think was doing shit. The people who I thought was eating it up ain't eating nothing but dirt and ass. Honestly, not even that. Not eating.
Not dirt and ass.
The plate is empty. Actually, do not assume.
The
Reality Kingdom will be on.
Alessandro is sick. Alessandro is sick.
Please.
Okay. But happy Pride Month to everyone.
Woo!
Gay. If I was gay, I would say, woo, I'm gay. Now I hang with the gays, but I ain't gay.
Amen. Happy Pride Month.
Don't be a drag, just be a queen. Don't be a drag, just be a queen.
I was just singing a Pride Month song earlier. What was it? I don't dance. Get it out of the park. I don't dance. I say you can. Not a chance. No. So a little bit.
No, y'all. This wasn't a vote. This is BB Rewind. We have a lot of rewinds. We have Reality Rewind. That's a vote, and then we have Survivor and Big Brother Rewind.
Boom.
And those are going to be in order. So we've already done seasons 2, 3, and 4. This is the 5th BB Rewind. Check the credentials, mama.
Get into it, baby. Yes, for Big Brother Rewind, Big Brother is one of our mainstays. It's basically the show we made this podcast for, no shade. So for Big Brother season, right before Big Brother season, and right after Big Brother season, we do our BB Rewinds. So that's what this is. If you are new here, get into the tea, baby. This is a celebration of Big Brother. So we're doing our BB5 Rewind. Then BB27 is going to premiere. And then we're going to be doing our BB6 Rewind. So
then BB Can 5 probably going to win the goddamn thing. So we're doing BB Can 5 Rewind for Reality Rewind. So don't get confused, y'all. Don't get confused.
The only Big Brother seasons that are allowed for the Reality Rewind vote are the internationals, which is why Big Brother Canada 5 was on the ballot. So you'll get used to it when we get into it. But for the girls who are new here, thank you for being here.
Yeah, shout out to everyone who's in the chat. We're gonna get into some things, okay? If y'all don't know, we're going to be here for the entire season. What we do is we read the feeds over on Joker's Update, which means every single day of the feeds we are reading. And we're also watching every episode. We're going to go through this as if it was a regular Big Brother season. Some of y'all are going to drop off, and it's okay. It's okay. Some of y'all going to stay here, and it's okay. As long as you're here supporting the kingdom, I don't give a damn what you do, okay? We live for it.
Yes. So if you've seen the season, but you haven't heard anything about the feeds, you can be here, and you can learn some new information. If you've never seen the season, you can be here and you can learn some new information, bitch. So stay tuned, baby, because we finna get all the way into it. Thank you, Mom.
It's Ren trolling in the chat.
What Ren say, child?
Cowboy, Jase, and Scott were clearly the best players of the season. the trolling. The emoji says it all. You don't even believe that. They don't even believe that.
They don't even believe it.
But I don't know. Pharaoh may agree with the Jase one because he was y'all. When I tell you we've been on the phone all week and he just been over here. Ooh, Jase is so. Oh my God, Jase is just so. Jase is just. Oh my God.
I like being surprised, and in a good way, because Diane has surprised me in a bad way.
I mean, a queen has to start from the bottom. You know, we saw that happen with Danielle. She had to work her way up. June had to work her way up. Diane has to work her way up. That's just how Nicole had to work her way up. All of the baddies in Big Brother history,
all of the baddies
had to work their way up. Amen.
Amen. Okay, I'll give you that. Okay, bitch. But yes, y'all, we're here to talk about Big Brother 5, the first week. So let's just slide into the tea of it all.
The tonal change.
Yes, it got serious, bitch. This is informative and professional. There will be no gags. There will be no ass.
Now you know we can't do that.
Impossible.
But
we can try. Okay, y'all. This is the cast. Don't get overwhelmed. I will be explaining the best that I can why this image.
Oh my God. People are not going to know these white people's names. We should have put the names.
You're right. I forgot about these white people's names.
Y'all don't know these white people. Y'all don't
think about that.
Because I imagine myself seeing it for the first time. I'd be like, who are these white people?
Who the fuck is these people? You're so right. I should have thought of it.
And then the one black guy, Marvin.
Anyways, y'all, not that Stickums, please. Anyways, y'all, this week of Big Brother,
stop with the congenial tone, okay?
I have some. Can I be congenial for once?
No, it don't even sound right on you.
I have some very fun infographics indicating what these players are doing this week. As you see, the HOH of the week is Jase. Woo! No claps. Damn, Lee don't want to get it. Jase is the HOH. He nominated Nakomis and Mike, so they got the blue nomination shit on them. And Scott won the veto, so he got that veto on his neck, right? So that's what the fuck you see when it comes to the infographic.
Why can't be a nice medium? I feel like it can't.
So now I got two ghetto.
It's fully cold switch. Now it's fully urban. Can we find a nice medium?
I could try.
So Jase has the HOH and or whatnot. He nominates.
You sound professional. You sound very professional. I'm gonna try it one more time. So Jase is the HOH for the week or whatever, right? He nominates Nakomis and Mike for eviction. Scott wins the power of veto, and the final nominees are still Nakomis and Mike. And we're going to get into how all of that went down for the week, and we're going to sprinkle in a little bit of the feeds information and give y'all all the tea. Period.
Because y'all, if y'all watch the episodes along with us this week, first of all, if you do not have Paramount Plus, there's a link in the description to watch it on YouTube. So if you want to tune in and watch the episodes with us, get into that link in the description. But also, what we saw in the episodes was an entirely different situation than what was happening on the feeds. There was so much development in the feeds that led to the division that we really didn't see. I don't know if they're going to show it next week, but it happened this week. So we're going to get into it this week.
It did. And that's going to explain why they're kind of organized in the way they are. As we go through it, it'll make more sense what this image is, even though y'all don't know these people's names, child. Well, some of y'all might. A lot of people might have seen it. But, child, we'll get into it.
Yeah, we'll try to put the names on there next time, Henny.
So, of course, we started this week off. Immediately, they all went into the food competition or whatever. Who gives a damn? No shade. It was cute on BB2, BB3. Now I'm like, we can do without the food competition.
Yeah. I do think the purpose of it is kind of what happened this time, which is with Lori. She got the decision to take the $10,000 and put the rest of the house on peanut butter and jelly. Now, if it was me, I'm taking the $10,000 goddamn dollars. Even if y'all send me home week 1, I'm leaving here with more money than most of y'all people, but in a way that also made her a target. And I think that's kind of what Big Brother wants from those, because didn't the other Lori win a car in her season or something like that?
They got somebody won a car. Somebody won a car. I don't think it was Lori. I think it was Autumn or something like that. Well, maybe it was Lori.
I cannot recall who won.
Somebody won a car though, but also they do every year. They do the whole: do you want to take money or do you want to have everyone on PB&J at Final 6? They've done that every season at Final 6 or Final 5, and every single person who's taken the money has lost. There has never been a person who won.
Kent won the car. It was
Kent
Autumn?
did win the car. Autumn and Kent were the final two, and Autumn left. And Kent ended up winning the car. And people kept talking about that car. But with Lori, you see, we're reading the feeds, and I'm 10 days in, and the $10,000 in the car. I mean, the $10,000 is still getting brought up to this day. Mm-hmm. Marvin was pissy mad the whole time. It was always brought up.
It just depends on who you are as a player. Like Lori, she went into the house and didn't really form a connection with Marvin, so they kind of kept that, you know, divisiveness in that relationship. He's the only one who's consistently bringing up the fact that she has $10,000. Yeah, everyone else finds her as a threat, which we'll see later on for other reasons. But the $10,000 was really only an issue with Marvin. I feel like my idea would be like, I'm going to take the $10,000. I'm going to lie and tell them I'm broke and homeless. I had to quit my job to even come here. And I'm going to become best friends with everyone. Like, because that's my main strategy in general, is to become besties with everyone. Like, that would be my main go-to. So it's like, well, to let y'all kind of get over this $10,000 thing, I'm going to be besties with y'all. I'm making the PBJ sandwiches all week, bitch. Y'all don't even have to touch it, bitch. I'm going to be in the kitchen. I'm going to be making what you want to fry PB&J, bitch. I got you with a fried PB&J. You want your bread toasted? I got your bread toasted. You want it shaken or spread? How do you want it? You want it with a spoon, you want it with a knife? Like, it's going to get very much that. You want milk with it? I can get you some milk. We got chocolate milk. We got strawberry. Like, I'm going to give it up like that. Like, you're not going to take me out because I took $10,000.
Period. No, it definitely depends on what type of player you are. I do feel like in this age, I don't think there's a lot of players who are capable of, like, talking their way out of it in this era of Big Brother. I don't think anybody in this season would have been able to do it without getting a target on their back because of it. Every single person would have been fucked up from taking that 10,000. So I think it's just, do you want that money? Are you here for that money? Or are you here because you really like the show? Or are you here because of the exposure and I want to be a model? Because the T is Lori wants to be a model. So my thing is, girl, I mean, get that money and invest. No shade. So yeah, that was that. We started off, we immediately saw some of the girls kind of linking up, and we'll see how this spreads throughout the week, because Will on the show tells Lori that he's gay. He's like, I only want to tell a few people. I don't want to tell everybody just yet. I want to use it to my advantage, yada, yada, yada. And he pulls in Karen as well.
That is going to get the fuck out. Like, of course.
He's not a secretive gay. He's not. Like, even with Bunky, I will say with Bunky, I didn't think Bunky seemed straight. But I can see how they may have
hear that damn voice. As soon as you hear that damn voice, it's always in the always in the accent.
Right.
It's always in the accent.
It is. And I think with Will, it was obvious. Like, the girls knew. It wasn't no Bunky situation where they were like, I didn't even know until you told me. And go. Girl, boo. So Will is gay. He tells Lori and Karen first, and they start building this bond. We'll see how that spreads throughout the week. And those are the three images in the center of this image right here. Will, Karen on the left and the bottom, Lori on the right and the bottom, right? Boom. We also see the boys immediately link the fuck up. It was giving New Era. See, it was giving New Era Big Brother the way they linked up. I'm like, is this Jackson, Mickey, and Jack?
It is. Actually, it is.
It is.
Actually. It happens all the time. And I was just so sick. I'm just so sick of it.
I think, isn't this the first time it's happened in this rewind we've watched? Like BB2, it did not really happen in that one. The Three Stooges. That was more circumstantial, but I guess the Three Stooges, that's true. Because this is the one that this feels like we're just
like those three personalities would have linked up regardless.
I do think so as well. That's very true. That's very true. The Three Stooges is a very big example.
Like, I guess they're not the OG cast, so it makes sense. But it depends on what you're asking. Are you saying like a majority of the men being, because this is basically all of the men versus literally all the women?
Exactly. Like,
so if you're talking that, then yes. If you're talking like Guys Alliance, I think the Three Stooges kind of gave this energy already.
Yeah, I feel like if I had to come back and pick the earliest example of that alpha male group, I think I would go here before going to the Three Stooges, because Three Stooges felt required. It felt too required. This feels they're just boys, and there's no other thing.
The energy behind it is kind of what gave me that, because like some of the things they're saying, the way they're playing the game, the way they're thinking, it's like this is so Three Stooges energy. Like they give me that. Like I literally have them down as the Four Stooges in my notes, because that's what it gives to me. And they're a little bit dumber than them, which is shocking because the Three Stooges were not that smart.
They are. That's what makes this feel even more simply based on the fact that they all have penises. Like, it doesn't feel like there's anything else other than that. Like, there is no strategic bond.
That's what Drew likes.
Oh my God. Lee, are you drunk?
No.
Okay.
Is that not the truth?
That is actually a fact. Drew is a gay man. Mm-hmm. Happy Pride! Oh,
Happy Pride!
He's gonna cover during Pride Month. This is such a great season. Imagine covering a show of somebody who found their self as gay, and they're the winner of the show we're covering. That's amazing. This was divine.
Yeah, for the people who do not know, Drew is a gay man. He came out, I think, years after the show. Mm-hmm. And within this season, he keeps up a very big showmance with Diane. So, you know, the closet was definitely sealed, shut, and locked, but he pried out of it. Now, knowing the information and looking at him and analyzing him when I'm reading the feeds, I'm like, this is definitely a homosexual. But I'm not going to sit here and act like it was clockable. It's not necessarily clockable. Mm-hmm. It's more clockable when you know, but it's not clockable for real. It's not. But it's so gaggy that Diane got played by this DL twin. I just feel like out of DL white twin trade, girl.
Out of everybody to get played by the DL.
That's DLs, girl.
At least make it be a real man.
Yeah, ain't no better than the gay man, because, girl, the gay men stay getting played by the DLs, don't they?
Yeah. Diane seems like someone who get played by a DL man. You know how, like, that sounds crazy, but there's a lot of women out here who have that experience, and Diane seems like one of those women. And, I mean, shit, it's on video. We see it right here. Alessandro says the real question is, would y'all have been able to be DL for a whole season to win at the end?
Girl, I couldn't be DL for a whole school year.
Y'all, the way for Lee, please. But no, y'all, the way Scott and Jase and Cowboy isn't the most attractive, but the way they are homoerotic on these feeds, they would have had me looking crazy, baby. I don't know
how he kept his, his things in
flaccid, bitch. Because Scott is like, yeah, I mean, you could. Scott literally made a joke about how, Drew, I mean, whenever I get HOH, I want you to sleep in my bed and you can stroke on my balls. Literally, no, he said suck on my balls. Literally, those were the words. Imagine a straight man, for the gays in the chat, shit, maybe the girls, a straight man joking with you. Yeah, shit, I want to sleep with you at night, and da da da. And you supposed to be straight too, bitch. Girl. I would have been looking like a whole feed. I mean, anyways, let's move forward.
That's literally how it. Because Will mentions how he's in the house, and it's like I'm like a diabetic in the candy store or whatever. Yeah, and it's like Drew definitely feels the exact same way. He just can't express it.
Drew was too. So in essence, this season had 2 LGBTQ players on accident.
Mm-hmm. And this is actually the first gay winner in history.
It is. Mm-hmm. Who's the second?
Andy, and then Casey.
Boom. They didn't mean anything in my mind. No shade. I was like, have any others ever won? No shade. But we get to the head of household competition. They have to pair up, and they did a lot of pair up for the first HOHs in these early seasons because they did the same thing last one of these times. They did something similar where they like had a duo. But they paired up, and Scott and Jase ended up pairing up for this, and it was a treadmill walk. So, what do you expect?
Of course, the men ran the fastest.
Of course. I will say
unfairness
in their defense, Jase also got the least questions wrong.
Yeah.
So I will give him that.
It was equitable in a way because you had to answer the questions to make sure it went slow. To keep it going slow, you had to answer the questions right. If you answered it wrong, then it would pick up. And they were eating it. Even by the end of it, Jase was only doing like a light, not Jase, Scott was only doing like a light jog damn near. Mm-hmm. Like he was not struggling at all. And then Karen was up there, bitch, running, okay? Right. It was so sucky because how different of a season would this be if Karen and or Lori were the first HOH of the season?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. And I was scared because I'm like, Lori, I don't remember Lori in this season. Like, I really don't recall the boot orders and things of this season, so I can't remember what placement she got, but I didn't even remember her. So I'm like, oh my God, is she the first boot? And then when she got second, I'm like, damn, she the first boot and she finna go home. Like, oh my God. But thankfully she wasn't.
Yeah. But she did good because they were the last two, but it comes down and Scott and Jase win. And then Will, he wasn't partnered with anyone. So he gets the opportunity to select or give them a chance to read a question about them. And if they get it right, they win the HOH. If they get it wrong, then the other person wins the HOH, right? So he asks Scott, do you want to do the question? Scott says no, let Jase answer. And Jase answers correctly. And Jase is the first head of household. He's first HOH both times he plays. I just noticed that.
Oh my God, yeah. This season and in All Stars. That's crazy.
Yes.
And we've don't do nothing with it, do we?
Girl, ever. We've been like, well, I've been like, we've both been thinking about how we're leading up to All Stars. Literally next year, we are going to be covering Big Brother All Stars. And I'm trying to think about all the players who go back and play again on All Stars. Like, how are they as players? What are their chances? Yada, yada, yada. So this season, we got to look at Jase a little bit and Diane and Nakomis because they're the ones who come back.
I mean, so far, like I'm thinking about BB2 when we did that rewind. Like I can see why Dr. Will ate. I can see why Danielle Marcellus ate.
Yeah.
I can see why Allison flopped, and I can see why so far the BB5 girls flopped. Now this is just week one. This is just week one, but I'm also thinking like if this is week one, like this is the start of their game. If someone's start of their game is kind of choppy, and you have to go into an all-star season where everyone is like professionals at this point, it's like, well, you know,
right?
Like what's her girl name? Allison. Her game was sloppy throughout,
from beginning to end.
Throughout. And it's not shocking that she went home so early. And you have someone like Nakomis where it's like she's very quiet, she's very reserved. It's not normal that someone like that can kind of get into a leadership position and like take the control that she does later in the season. So once again, I can see how she's not in the best position starting off. And then same with Diane. Like Diane is hated by the end of this first week. No one likes Diane. Yep. It's the hatred of Jason Scott that overpowers the hatred for Diane that gets people to start liking her. But like by the end of this week, no one likes her at all. Yep. Like she was almost the next week's target. It wasn't some of the other shenanigans. So it's like I can definitely understand now why some of these people will go into All Stars and not do good.
I very much so agree. Somebody mentioned Erica. I forgot she was even on All Stars. The fact that you even mentioned Erica. Right. So
they didn't pregame.
Yes, they did. It's
they say they didn't.
Well, there's big controversy about how there's a Mr. and Mrs. Smith alliance with Diane and Jase going into season 7, and everyone discusses how they.
Jase is not pre-gaming. That's the person in the same house. I'm talking about the other people.
Oh, with the other people. Okay, I can give you that. But yes, child, we'll see, child. So boom, we slide in, and Julie announces the twist of the season: Project DNA. Do not assume. I feel like this is such a cunty twist name specifically. Do not assume, bitch. DNA. Love this for us. And she reveals that this twist has to do with Cowboy and Jennifer and that they are long lost siblings. Very cunty for the time. I just feel like coming off of BB4, I can definitely see how this twist only being between two people isn't as big of an impact that they might have thought it was. You feel me? You feel me?
I do want to kind of go back to this previous conversation too, because Ren mentions that Danielle initially was screwed because she didn't pregame either. And I think that kind of goes back to the point I was making about like a good player versus a bad one or a sloppy player. Like even without the pregaming, as a good player, you can do well. And I think that certain players are good in certain circumstances and not all circumstances. So I do feel like regardless if they're pre-gaming or not, a good player could have got out of the situation where a sloppier one would not. And we saw the ones who couldn't. But I mean, we'll be there to analyze it. But I agree, no, this twist is definitely interesting. I'm so curious as to how they even made this work. Like did they?
Right.
I read on Reddit somewhere that they asked the father to actually be on the show, and so Michael can meet his long lost father. That's what they said in the Reddit streets.
Right.
But apparently the father couldn't do it, and he was like, "Well, I have my daughter," and they was like, "Oh, bet she'll do it too." So I think, I don't know. I think that it was fun, like to see it, but it does feel kind of like icky. Like, how did y'all like?
Right.
Did y'all seek long lost father and son, or seek out like long lost siblings? Like, are y'all the FBI?
Right.
Like,
Was this the plan
what
to
questions
begin
were y'all
with?
asking? Like, a very good moment. And like, honestly, if I was watching live, I would be gagged.
Yeah.
But like, damn, how did they do this? Like, you know what I
No.
mean? And then they still cast like racist and shit like that. It's like,
Oh
y'all can do this, but y'all can't not cast racist. I don't get it.
No, for real. It does seem it just seems very FBI like who is on your team? But I do feel like, first of all, Big Brother was a huge phenomenon. They talk about how, I think Scott talks about how he lives near Allison, and not just Allison, but Allison's boyfriend at the time, Donnie, gets approached all the time, and they're literally getting like ran down on the streets. So they're very, very famous. And I guess because of that, they have a lot of access that I guess probably not in new age that they do, because it's Big Brother's not that girl how it used to be. But yes, it's very crazy that they got this, even finding the long lost father to this man randomly is crazy. But yes, apparently they reached out to the father. Nakomis got on, and Street said Nakomis was mad about it. Like, she wasn't that happy that she did go off on production for a little bit about it. So that's funny as well.
Olivia in the chat says there's a live feed update on Hamsters from the final days where Nakomis loses it on production for how fucked up it was. I mean, it is kind of like traumatic. Like, you don't know if someone wants to meet this person. Like, you kind of throw them into something that's life-changing and something that they may accept and be happy about later on. But it's like, you're playing with these people's lives. You're playing with bloodline at this point. Like, it's actually insane. Like, I don't know. I don't think I would have a reaction to be like upset, but I can 100% see why someone would.
Yeah, it feels like it feels very icky, feels very muddy, and it seems very unconsensual. Like they brought these two people, neither of them knew, and they just boom did it. It's just, it feels weird. And I also feel like the impact of it is greater live. Me watching this in 2025, it doesn't feel as, I don't know. I'm gagged, but I think maybe because I already knew about it, maybe because it's not live and I don't get to watch the feeds. The twist of this, and then of course the other twist with the twins, it's so gaggy, but it's not as impactful to the direction of the game as the Exes twist that we just had last season. And we can tell by the feeds. When we're reading the feeds, the game is much slower than last season, where there was this big Exes twist. It just seems like this twist didn't really affect the game much at all, because Nakomis and Cowboy are kind of like, we chill on it. And Adria and Natalie haven't came in yet. So right now it's kind of just like a normal season. You know, it's kind of barely a twist at all, because it just didn't have a big impact like the Exes did. So yeah. But
yeah, I kind of wish that they would redo twists like this. Like, I would love if they were to do a twin twist with like 8 people type shit, or like the Exes twist with all 8 of the people, like another secret duo twist. Like,
yeah,
we need another twist for the entire cast that somehow connects the people in a way that I feel like could be interesting. You know, we've had a lot of teams seasons, and unpopular opinion, I really enjoy all of the team seasons. I think every season that starts off with a team is actually really cunty. I mean, think about it. BB11, campy and cunty.
it is very campy.
BB18, campy and cunty.
Very campy.
BB23, campy and cunty. BB14, campy and cunty. It's a campy and cunty twist. But I feel like the duo of it all, BB6, BB4, you know, BB8. You know what I mean? It's like BB9 is a good example. Now, BB9, she had her issues. I
don't know about good example.
But I think the twist itself was campy and cunty. So I would love, like, we're gonna go into BB27. I would love if they do some sort of campy cast twist. We talk about this a lot, where it's like, you know, they try to throw in all of these powers and external things, where it's like the twist could be just within the cast, you know? Like, and just those are the cast X's, cast twins, cast enemies, you know what I mean? Cast family members. I think it could be fun in a modern day season with more people.
I agree. And I do think I agree that the cast twists are very, very fun. I'm not a big preferer of the twists that have them in teams or pairs, but the cast twists in general are very interesting. Exes or not bloodlines, kind of
bloodlines. Come on.
Kind of bloodlines, bitch. Stuff like that I think would be very, very fun. So yes, I wish they would bring it back, but they're so lame now. They don't ever want to do nothing fun.
Give us another Dick and Danielle, girl. Okay.
Right. And then they have the opportunity to do it with all of the cast. It can be 8 people.
I would love an Exes one. I would love an Exes one.
I would.
Or a bloodlines one could be cute too, though. If like not secret duos in the fact that some of these are friends, secret duos in the fact that bitch, this is mother and daughter,
son,
cousins, brothers,
and then tell them all to keep it a secret. Tell them all they're the only one.
Literally tell them all
the same thing they did. That's literally what they did in BB6. Just do what they did in BB6. Honestly,
I hate when they only do it with one. Like Olivia brought up Suri and Jared in the chat just now. Like I hate that it's only with one person, or like how they accidentally did it in BB21 with Tommy and Homegirl, and then technically Holly and Kat. Yeah. It's like, why are y'all just doing it randomly? Like, oh, this one little piece in here. Like, I hate that. I hate that so much.
Right. And honestly, that's what I was talking about with this twist. I kind of feel like that's why this one wasn't such a big impact, because it is just 2 people it affects. Don't nobody give a fuck. Like once Cowboy literally realizes it the same within this first week. And when they're doing introductions, of course, him and Nakomis have the same last name, or his daddy has the same last name as her. He clocked it, yada, yada, yada. We saw this on the episode. He clocks it. So he, after a HOH competition, he goes to Jase and he tells Jase, girl, Nakomis is my sister. I know it. I clocked all the tea, da 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 da. And at the first, Jase was kind of weary of this. The boys got brought into it and they all had this big conversation. And Jase was like, I don't know, the way you're approaching it right after I win HOH is a little weird, yada yada yada. But none of this really goes anywhere.
It doesn't go anywhere, thank God, because I don't understand why somebody would lie about that. Like, if anything, you would want to keep that a secret.
Right. And he was like, he was like, you got to tell other people. So he tells other people, all the boys. And then he's like, okay, do you want to tell her right now? Yada, yada, yada. And eventually they bring Nakomis into the back room, and it's all the boys, damn near, and Nakomis. And Cowboy lets her know, well, look, your dad is my dad. So my dad is my dad and your dad is your dad? Nah, he tells her the team. And she's kind of like, I guess, like, it doesn't seem like she's fully all the way in on it, because it's like, what are you talking about? You're claiming this. I don't really know. But then Big Brother says, we'll tell y'all the tea. They pull them to the diary room, giving them each a letter from their daddy, I guess. And their dad wrote both of them a letter, which is crazy.
Do you think they revealed it because they found out, or were they going to do that at this time anyway?
I think they were going to wait until they found out to reveal it. I think they were banking on them finding out. Now, if they didn't find out within these first couple of weeks, I think they would have revealed it, but not at this moment. It was literally the same day he told Nakomis is when they gave them the letters.
Exactly.
I'm thinking maybe in the middle of the 3rd week, or maybe they had a time frame when they were going to do it, but I guess right here sped up the process because they found out very fast. But yeah.
That's so weird if that's the case, because someone commented, like, what if they were attracted to each other? What if they had a showmance or something like that? Like, it wasn't really possible because we know Michael had his wife and things, but like in an alternate universe where that could happen, it's like, why, would you have ran out and been like, hold on, wait, stop the presses.
Right. Child. So this was a very big moment. Some of the house guests didn't believe them until those letters came out. They were like, they're bullshitting us. They're trying to play us. But then when the letters came out, they were like,
well, y'all are also this huge target. So that's why I can't wait till we get to BB8, because I'm interested to see how they allowed Evil Dick and Danielle to get to Final 2 as a daughter and father. Like, that makes absolutely no sense to me that you would allow a duo like that to make it that far in the game, because this automatically puts a huge target on them. Even in BB4, we saw a situation where, like, the exes, the people who had exes still in the game, that kind of became a slight issue here and there, where it was like, well, we don't like that they have that extra little crutch, So I'm just like, how would you allow a duo to get that far?
Literally, even Cowboy and Nakomis, they made it to Final Four. Both of them still in the game, and they weren't necessarily working in tandem. But what if they were? Like Diane and that other boy could have been fucked if they were really locked in. It's like y'all are allowing too much. Even G and June made it too far, if you ask me. Why the fuck are they both still here? And I think it really is just a lot of people in these early seasons. Well, it takes them some time, honey. It takes them some time because what the fuck? But what I really liked about Cowboy and Nakomis is that they did have moments where they went together off alone and they had discussions. And Cowboy is basically like, look, love you, but we can't be seen together a lot in this house. We can't be talking about the brother and sister thing. They kind of agreed not to discuss it within the house because, first of all, they're in the game, their focus is on it, and they don't want to become targets. And I was like, okay, I didn't know Cowboy had some chops because Cowboy was the one who was basically saying this. He had moments where he's even like pulling her to the side and saying like, look, girl, you need to start talking to people who not just in your alliance. You need to do this and this and that. Cowboy's really trying to like little sister her a little bit and then also create a distance between the two of them. And I thought that was really cute because I never knew that.
It don't mean shit because I know he turned on her in the end of the day anyway. It didn't mean shit.
It didn't mean much.
I'm pretty sure he does, doesn't he? Shit. Or did she turn on him?
I don't remember. A part of me thought she turned on him, but she goes.
Oh, maybe it's the other way around. I mean, I guess we'll see.
Maybe not. But it don't mean shit.
All being angry at Cowboy and Drew. Okay. So I will say I don't know necessarily why, but I thought it was because Michael chose Drew over trusting Nakomis.
He probably did. He honestly probably did. So it don't mean shit.
Child. We'll see.
I really think
I'm a Nakomis defender, so if she turned on him as she should.
I genuinely think this came from a perspective of Cowboy wanting to play the game, though. I'm not gonna lie. Of course, that's his sister, and I think he cares about her. But I also think in his mind, I don't need a threat. I don't need a target on my back. So stay over there, and I'm gonna stay over here and do what I'm doing with my alliance that you're not in. So I really think that's what it was given. No shade. So yes,
Diva
moving forward. Marvin.
Child.
Marvin is something else. And we saw in the episode, they introduced that Marvin was kind of going to be the target this week. But on the feeds is really what we saw. We saw the real tea on the feeds, Lee.
It was a lot. It was a lot. Ooh.
Brace yourselves.
Trigger. I don't even know how to like talk about it. It's so like, how do we start? Should we start with Holly's story?
Let's start with the Lori part.
Okay.
And then move to the Holly. Because the Holly part is so Lori kind of doesn't like Marvin. Because Marvin doesn't really like Lori. Ever since she took that 10,000, Marvin is around the house as a black man does. No shade. Talking about some, you got that 10,000 though, don't you? You do got that. Ooh, wish I could eat. Ooh, I am hungry. He's hungry. He's mad. He's angry. And he don't even want to be in the same room with Lori. And Lori feels that. And she's like, I don't really fuck with him. And now all of these other things he does bothers her. Oh, Marvin, he cuss a lot. Why does he cuss so much? And he does this, and that. And really what it is Marvin don't like your ass.
Yeah.
So you don't like his ass. Period.
And then it kind of starts like a duo thing with her and Holly. And this is where it gets weird because I don't want to because we're not watching the feeds. All we're doing is reading it. So from Holly and Lori's perspective, they're saying that Marvin is making the girls uncomfortable. She mentioned that he stuck his hands in her butt crack and that he's like filling up on some of the women. There aren't any direct updates saying Marvin just groped her. Marvin just touched this. So I don't know if this is something that was happening on or off the feeds, really, but it's a lot of recounting mainly from Holly. Like some of the other girls mentioned, like, oh, he swears too much and that's uncomfortable, or he makes too many sexual gestures and that's uncomfortable. Holly is specifically saying he's touching her, but Holly has also said a lot of things. So like, I don't want to get up here and fully say that her what she experienced is false, and I don't want to sit up here and fully defend Marvin because I don't know what the nigga was up there doing because I'm not watching. So I just feel like it's a really icky situation because by the end of this week, everyone believes Holly's a liar based on her stories, and they also all love Marvin. So I don't really know who was telling the truth here because a bit of it seemed like, because Marvin is black, some of the things that he did were seen as too abrasive, but Jase and Scott were not. Because Jase and Scott say and do a lot of other weird and questionable things as well, but no one ever questioned that. It seemed like people questioned Marvin's antics a lot more, but like from the stuff I'm reading, they're all doing it. But a lot of people only mention Marvin. But like I said, even by the end of the week, it seems like everyone is fond of Marvin other than Lori. And Lori isn't even mentioning being uncomfortable anymore. So it's like, I'm just curious as to kind of what really happened. I wish I was watching the feeds because like I didn't know. I just didn't know how to perceive it really.
I agree. And when we're reading the feeds, we're also reading from the perspective of the person who's watching and who's updating it. And some of them did put, there was a moment where Holly was mentioning Marvin again, because she mentioned him a lot. She complained about him a lot and the things that she felt like he was doing. And one of the feed updaters put in parentheses, from my perspective, Holly is blowing this way out of proportion. So once again, it's still from the perspective of a perspective. So it's hard for us to judge because we're not watching it. But it seemed like from the house guests, the way they're reacting to Holly and Marvin, it doesn't seem like what she's saying is fully agreed upon within everybody else. Once again, the only person really mentioning that type of stuff is Hot. Like even of the women, like I hadn't seen any updates of Nakomis, Diane, or Adria saying anything about Marvin. Really, it's only really been Lori and Holly,
or Karen, really,
even Karen.
It was mainly Lauren and Holly, and then some of the other girls they would mention that he curses a lot, or he does do he says sexual things a lot.
Right.
But like I said, Scott and Jase also did the same thing. So I was like, well, is he doing it more than them? Or are you not bothered by them doing it? You're only bothered by him doing it. You know what I mean? Because that's what I couldn't figure it out, because it did give slightly double standard. But I also did read some of Marvin's comments, and Marvin is wild. Marvin be saying some crazy ass shit. Because Ren dropped this in the chat. Apparently, he said, "I'm trying to bust on your forehead for one of his RHAP appearances."
Oh my god!
So Marvin says some crazy ass shit, and I can understand why any woman would feel uncomfortable about the things he says. So I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to disregard any of their stories, because I'm not going to sit there and defend this man where I don't know exactly what the fuck went down. Okay, if it happened, then they are 1,000% valid, and they are 1,000% valid by feeling uncomfortable by it. It's just, this is kind of how we have to perceive the information. And by the end of it all, it seems like the house came around to liking Marvin and getting used to him, whereas they also all became annoyed by Holly and didn't like Lori. And especially in these earlier weeks, it seemed like because people like Lori and Holly were uncomfortable, it kind of started spreading. Like a lot of the guys were also saying, well, we have to get out Marvin because Marvin is making the girls uncomfortable. It kind of became this thing. And once again, I couldn't tell, is this groupthink? Is this because these two people are saying it? Now it's spreading everywhere, and this is what everyone is thinking because he's the easy out. You know what I mean? But once again, I just don't know.
Yeah, I agree. It's very nuanced, and it's very difficult to understand because he is very overly sexual from what I've seen in the feeds, but so are some of the other men. There were literally comments from, I believe Holly said, Scott and Marvin do the same thing, but the way Marvin does it is what makes me uncomfortable. The way Scott does it, it's fine the way Scott does it. And stuff like that is
comment made me feel like,
right. And we'll get into some other things Holly has said later on, because there's a lot of reasons why what Holly is saying feels a little bit targeted, rather than, just pure uncomfortability because stuff like that.
It's literally like, and these are the people in the house are clocking this. Like, there was an instance where she's complaining about Marvin groping her, and then there is someone recounting on the feeds how she walks up to Marvin, sits in his lap, and then his arms are around her. So it's like, it's a weird dichotomy of like, we can't see what's happening, so we have to just like listen and perceive. And it's like, well, it's just weird. So it makes me just want to like not take any sides on it, but at the same time, it's like, this is such a serious topic that I don't want to like act like it just didn't happen. So it's really weird because it seems like Marvin still has a positive reception from the audience, and I feel like if he was acting like this, maybe that wouldn't be the case, but maybe people just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
It just gets weird, and it's very difficult because of it's really only two people involved. It's either Holly or Marvin's word in this particular sexual situation. But either way, I feel like both of them gotta adjust some things, because he shouldn't be walking around making anybody feel uncomfortable. And if she's extending on things, she shouldn't be extending on things. So I just feel like it's kind of a weird, sticky situation. But we'll see how it progresses, because the chat say it come up again next week, child. So we will see.
And but at that point, if it's multiple people saying it again, it's like, girl, Marvin, you
got caught acting a fool, child. But yes, so this is culminated in the boys being like, maybe we could target Marvin, but then they're also thinking maybe we can keep Marvin, because Marvin is somebody who's working on our side. Cowboy was kind of one of the main ones first saying that. Cowboy was like, hold on, y'all, I don't think we need to take out Marvin, because low key Marvin is with the boys. He finna do whatever we want to do. He finna target Lori and Holly. So why do we need to do that? And then the boys kind of all started coming around to, hold on, you're right. Marvin could just be over here with us, you know, with the cool kids. So
it also just it feels weird. Definitely like Marvin's overall position in the game, because even in this instance, there was a situation that they kind of talked about where apparently Cowboy and Marvin got into some sort of disagreement. Maybe it was about race or something like that. And Cowboy definitely offers a lot of opinions that seem dated. So I wouldn't be surprised if he says something ignorant about race. So it's just like stuff like that makes me want to question if some of the things that we're seeing them notate that people are saying is actually what's happening, or are you perceiving Marvin in a certain light
because he's black. And literally, I don't know if you've ever seen that clip, but at the finale, Cowboy is called a racist directly by Marvin. Marvin says, "You are a racist. I'm not voting you." So we will see how that. Yes, girl. So we will see.
And
how
that must be based off the argument. Is there another argument coming, or
probably
is that
multiple things that come, because they're both in the game for a long time? And I remember there's a moment where it seemed like Cowboy don't even want nothing to do with Marvin, and vice versa. So I think that's gonna get expanded.
You can tell on how he speaks about Marvin. Like Cowboy is one of the main people who trashes Holly all the time, doesn't listen to a word she says. But the Marvin piece, he's very much like, yeah, Marvin, he needs to stop acting like that, because he's doing this, this, and this, and this, and he's a problem, and da-da-da-da. And it's like, it coming from you, specifically Cowboy, knowing that you said some weird stuff, it's like, just weird.
So this leads into what Jase is going to do with the nominations. Him and the Four Horsemen, they have this moment where they find the camera. This is the first time there's a camera in the HOH room. So campy. It's always something new every season, and I love that. So it's the first time that occurs, and they're hiding it from the rest of the house. We'll see how long that lasts. And then they also start discussing who might be the noms. Jase is walking around asking everybody if they want to, how they feel about Marvin, because he's thinking about nominating him. And then when the boys kind of decide not to do that, then we get into how Mike ends up on the block, because child, the Don, not just Mike the Don.
The Don, bitch. Okay.
The Don sounds so crazy, because I hear black people say the Don, like like Shamani the Don, bitch. Like it's giving the Don.
My God.
But they're meaning like he's this mob boss type of person, which is very funny. So
it's so funny because I feel like the episodes made him, which he definitely was in the beginning of the week, like before he got nominated, he was like this big figure.
Right.
After Veto, nothing really from him on the feeds for real. It's very quiet for him. Like he gracefully exits.
Yeah, he said he did that on purpose, which I caught a conversation, because no shade, when somebody going home, I'm like, girl, you ain't talking about nothing. But I did catch a conversation on the feeds, and he said he was telling someone, because he speaks very openly about his game. Fuck Scott and Jase. I need them to go. We should all target them. Like he does not care to be quiet. But in that conversation, he said he felt the best chance for him to stay was by not campaigning. And it's like, girl, that never works. Unfortunately, I kind of see why you might have thought that, but he's not campaigning, but he's also still trashing Scott and Jase all day. So it's like, you're not really,
Maybe
but very quiet.
Psychology, girl. Turn right to go left.
turn right to go left. But we saw in the episode kind of the situation. Diane and him have this conversation. Mind you, Diane don't like this man. Don't give a fuck.
Well, no, Diane actually was fond of Mike at first. She said at first she was fond of him, but then he became the house target, and Diane said, "I'm about to get the fuck ASAP. Okay, I don't have to be seen with you. I don't know you. Don't talk to me. I'm gonna treat him like I don't know his ass."
As she should.
So sad. That's so sad. Like,
no, it's not.
Imagine you're targeted and no one wants to talk to you. Like,
that's how it happened to everybody.
Exactly. That's sad.
I just think don't be a target.
Oh my God. Okay.
So Mike, so Mike has this plan, and Diane is right there with him with this plan because they both like Drew. Everybody likes Drew.
Girl, the whole damn house.
Drew is just another Jason. We get one every fucking season.
But Drew won. That's the thing. Usually they don't win. Drew won this motherfucker. Okay, he's the quiet.
Mm-hmm.
I think they perceive him as religious, right? Like, don't they mention him as a religious person?
I think they perceive him as prudish, like oh, he's not gonna do anything bad. He won't.
Like, they kind of infantilize him a little bit.
Yeah,
and everyone loves him. Everyone wants them in their alliance, even though he's so obviously with the Four Horsemen. It's actually insane how people of his archetype can continuously do this, and no one is questioning where they stand. Like, all of y'all are saying y'all trust him, but none of y'all are fact checking that with each other. It's just like, wow, wow. Because while I think Drew, I just don't like his archetype in general. I'll be honest. I really was just not a big fan of this archetype because I feel like most of it is not any real work. A lot of external feelings towards them. But, you know, I think Drew is a little bit smarter than some of the other people that this affects. So I'll give him his 10s there. But it's hard for me to be like, oh my God, like, it's so gaggy. He was finna win from day one. Because it's like, well, you know, it's because all of them are on his dick, you know? And it's not like they're all on his dick because he's so charismatic and he's just talking to all of them and he's keeping up this great social game. They're talking to him. They're going to him. Yeah. They're including him. He just sits there.
And we see it.
They're like, hey, you want to be in the alliance? He's like, I mean, yeah, sure.
Yeah. And my take is sure, Drew won. However, you know, we're not finished. We're just at the beginning. But this cast so far has been the least strategically, you know, intense of the couple of seasons we've seen. So I could argue if Jason was cast in this season and not Drew, Jason probably just would have won. I'm not saying, like, I'm saying this could have been swapped. Drew might have been able to be swapped out with any random no shade person because no one else is necessarily that intense of a player to where it's difficult for this archetype to succeed. This is the easiest season for this archetype to succeed in. I genuinely believe so because of how it is, because of how simple it is, because of no one being a front runner or this extreme person. And we're still early in the season, so we'll see how he progresses. But so far, I'm kind of like, shit, he doing just what Jason did. Sit there and be friendly and everybody likes him and invites him to the alliance, you know, and keep his mouth shut and his eyes open.
You know, because we kind of mentioned that people who play that sort of game, they don't necessarily get the win, and he does get the win. So I'm interested to see, is this a situation where the entire time no one ever suspects I can't even talk. You say it.
Suspects
anything.
Oh,
and then he just gets to the end and win. You know what I mean? Because right now it seems like everyone trusts him, and I don't see a reason why everyone who trusts him now would stop trusting him. So does he really just sit here?
Right.
And he shack up with Diane. Diane protects him in her big girl alliance, and he win.
Right. And I believe that's it. And if that's the case, I don't think it changes anything. He's still a good player, but it kind of just in my mind, I'm like, I mean, shit, Jason could have done this. You getting the same score as him, you know, in a way. And these people tend to get high scores. Like even Matt, I think I gave him like a 6.5 at the end. Tyler is still a good player because of their situation, because of the people's perception of them, they just naturally have a greater chance of getting to the end of the game. Now, do they often win? No, but in the season that they do, it's like in a season that it can happen, it can happen. And, you know, anyone could end up in a season where it's like, oh, this is the archetype that wins. And that's what happened with Drew. But yes, we lead into the nominations. Mike, the Don, and Nakomis are nominated for eviction. Nakomis is a pawn. And at this moment, y'all, especially like on the feeds, the Four Horsemen, they want Nakomis as like an extra vote. They're like, Marvin can be an extra vote, Holly can be an extra vote, and even Nakomis can be extra. Your sister is my favorite woman in the house. Is what they saying to Cowboy. So she's kind of like their ally. Well, they're using her. After Mike is nominated, he pops off on the girls. We saw this on the episode. It was kind of a longer conversation on the feeds we saw. He first tells Marvin, girl, it was supposed to be you. It wasn't supposed to be me. It was supposed to be you, actually. I feel like he was low-key bitter. I feel like he was low-key mad. Like,
definitely a little bit mad.
This should have been you, child. So he's mad about that. Later on, he's calling out Scott because he's like, Scott, just own it. Just own it. Just own it. You and Jase, y'all are locked in and y'all are in an alliance and y'all are going to run this house and y'all know y'all are, don't you? And Scott is like, girl, what you talking about? He's like, you know exactly.
And he has a later interaction with Jase that's very similar. And Jase is like, I'm walking away from you. Get away from me. Like, like, stop. Like, it's so weird. Like, he was really trying to comfort him, and it was iconic. It was kind of iconic. But it's just like, sir, go ahead and hang it up. Like,
go ahead and wrap it up.
You're not getting the reaction that you want. They're not beefing with you. You just look embarrassing a little bit. You do.
Yeah, you do. It's unfortunate because a lot of those archetypes, they do get scared and shook when they get pressed. But honestly, Scott and Jase, they kind of don't give a fuck. Like, they kind of don't give a fuck.
They're so nonchalant.
Yeah. So that was kind of embarrassing, but at least he called him out. He's trying, y'all. He's trying. I also think it doesn't matter because everyone knows. Usually it's like no one knows they're running it. I need to call it out. In this situation, everybody knows Scott and Jase are running it. We're taking them out next week. We're taking them out as soon as we get the chance. So him doing this isn't like super gaggy.
I will say at this time that wasn't the case. At this time in the week, you know, Scott and Jase were still in the position to where they would not have been the main targets. You know, Mike was trying to get them to see that they need to be targeting Scott and Jase, and people were not really in on that yet. It wasn't towards the end of the week that people were really on the same page that at least Jase needs to go home.
Yeah, it wasn't that urgent at all. It was not that urgent. I feel like most of the people who were listening already knew it. Like Diane, she knew that. You know, that's what she was going to do. Anyways, Adria, she was going to do that anyways. But you're right, because some of the girls were not.
It was not a house consensus, and that's specifically because of Will, Karen, and Lori. You know, if Will, Karen, and Lori were on code immediately, it would be a different story. And that's kind of what the episodes made y'all seem. The episodes made it seem like Will, Karen, and Lori, you know, of course, Will had that initial issue with Diane, but it seemed as if, though, this girls thing was really going to come together. But that is not how it started off. Karen and Lori hated Diane and Adria, and they still hated them by the end of the week. They just hated Jase and Holly and Scott more.
Exactly. Child. So we get to the power veto competition. Of course, they have the new twist of the season. So on the power veto, only 6 people will compete.
Oh my God. How do you think that's going to affect the game? Like, I feel like it's more fair to have all of them play. Now it's only 6. Like, I don't get that. As a fan of Big Brother since season 1, watching now to season 5, I just feel like, you know, we're in 2004. I just feel like this isn't fair.
The T is technically it's not fair, but the truth is they really only wanted it because they wanted the veto to be used more. The fact that they had veto all last season, they had a golden power veto and it only got used on one person that entire time. I think they were like, girl, we need this used more often. Like, it's entertaining when it's used. It causes drama when it's used. We need this more used. So that's why they dimmed down the thing. But honestly, technically, it's kind of not fair, bitch. I think it's fair when it's random. I think it being them choosing, you get situations which we got this season, literally the backdoor plan,
a history-making plan,
a history-making moment, and they quickly realize this doesn't work unless it's random. And I think when it's random, it's like, okay, it's fair for everybody, but girl, this kind of is not fair.
I think it going down to 6 is fair for the 2 people who are playing, who are up for a nomination. I think that's who it's fair for, and I kind of like that. It's more so not fairness; it's more equity.
Yes,
it's like we're going to give the 2 people in danger a better shot. And then I think having them choose was supposed to do that as well. But then you kind of got the loophole with the back door. So that's why they had to randomize it, which I think still makes it fair because it's only 6. But like if you're in a veto with the comp beast, it's like, well, like that's happened so many times during Big Brother, especially during BB16 through 22, where it was like someone is nominated that probably could win the veto, but then Cody's in the veto with him. Caleb's there with him.
To
Jack
just not use it.
Jack and Mickey are there with him. This one person who wins every fucking thing is in the veto, and now your favorite's going home that week because they can't beat the goddamn comp beast and all the physical competitions.
And the comp beast is in the majority alliance, and they're not going to use it anyways. And the veto doesn't get used for fucking 8 weeks in a row, and they think that's cunty. And I think that's why, honestly, in new era seasons, you see how this last season they added the AI arena. I think they're like, there's no other way to make the veto used more often. So we need something else that's campy and fun, because the whole point of the veto having 6 people is so it could get used. And then we got to an era of BB where it's just not getting used because the fucking big majority alliance isn't going to use it on the flops. So I think I love the AI arena because it causes this actual, I guess what the veto should have been is this intense, it's a usurpation. It's a whole usurpation? That's not the word. Whatever. It's a whole turnaround of the week because now the target is safe. And that just never really mattered until, honestly, the AI arena, where it's like, bitch, anybody could go home because we don't even know who the final nominees are. And you don't want to nominate your ally, but you kind of do. And it could fuck up an entire situation if they goes home. It just adds that intensity that I think the veto, at least the veto initially did kind of have that intensity. But I think over time it diluted. So, but yeah. We only have
this Volleyton. This is the one thing BB did that I wish they copied. Not letting the HOH play in veto.
Yes.
Big Brother Canada, they started doing that in BB 6. And it really stopped a lot of these comp beasts from winning more comps than they had already won. You know what I mean? They were still breaking HOH records that season, but baby, they would have been breaking full competition records, bitch. It would have been giving 20 competition wins a season. Very true. I think especially now that we're moving into this more equitable era, but definitely even in the inequitable era, it would have been best because a lot of the times you have fucking Cody Calafiore nominating the 2 weakest people in the house, and then he can just go on and win veto, and then nothing fucking happens. Like, you remember the week where Jessica, shout out to this queen, Jessica Milagros.
Oh, shout out to Jessica Milagros.
When she won that HOH and won that motherfucking veto on the bitches.
Yes. But
like, you never get that on the other way around. It's like, it's so rare to get the person perceived weak to win the HOH, put up the 2 strongest people in the house, then win the veto, because Cliff tried it, and they couldn't get the veto.
Yep.
The veto and the HOH? Oh, diva.
But honestly, you bringing that up is exact. I had a whole argument in my mind of why I don't necessarily love the HOH not playing, and that's the perfect example. If she didn't play in that veto, Jack and Jackson would have both stayed, and there would be no usurpation. I genuinely think that it is fair to allow the HOH to keep their nominations the same.
Yeah.
But the issue that they need to target was the equability of the comps. The comps should be equal. They shouldn't be to where Jackson and Jack are winning everything. It should be possible for people who are on the bottom to win the comps just as likely as the people who are on the top. It shouldn't be this only physical people could win. That was the true problem, which is why in the new era, the more the comps become equitable, the more times the veto gets used. Wasn't last season the veto was used every single time but once?
Yeah. And girl, they up here gagging about it. This season.
Like, it was your fault this whole time.
Mind you, BB didn't need that to you haven't used every goddamn week, no shade. But I'm really happy that BB 26 had so much, I feel like, success among the fans and the viewers, because now they have a blueprint to follow. BB 16 was the blueprint for a while.
Yep.
And that BB 16 blueprint led us to some very predictable wins and outcomes that just led to the most physical person winning. You know, I feel like now in BB, the new era, you know, we have different archetypes of players, different archetypes of winners, you know, and it's so interesting to see, you know, at least, especially even if you get a comp beast like Jag or Xavier, it's like, well, Punjabi, first black winner. It's like still unique in some interesting way.
Exactly.
And then you also get a Chelsea and a Taylor. And I think we're still going to keep getting unique ones like them, especially with the equitable competitions. Like Angela having the second or third most comp wins last season. Gaggy.
Right.
Gaggy. Like the concept of how good Big Brother is about to be now that they finally realize that they can do equitable competitions and still have people tuned in.
Yep.
We're about to get a show.
Yeah. It's gonna be a new golden era for sure.
It is, because I think BB 26 is literally one of the best seasons they've produced.
Yep, I agree.
Years.
Period.
I can't like if I have to compare, it's definitely the best new era season, better than 22,
Yep.
Better than 21.
Yep.
Better than 20.
Yep.
Better than 19.
Yep.
Now 18 is competition.
18 is campy, but I think it's better. I think 18 is more
better.
campy, but I think it's better.
It's like that whole 16 to 22 era.
Yep.
Like crazy. And shout out to that Brown Charlie. Hopefully with a diverse cast. I don't know if CBS is trying to play games around here.
Right.
Because that Survivor 50 cast is definitely not 50%. It's like about, I think 80-ish, 90, but it's not exactly 50. Y'all promised us 50 bitches, and we want our 40 acres and no goddamn mule.
Clock it.
Okay. So Big Brother, I bet I see no games. Okay.
None.
Now they said 49, Survivor 49 is still at least 50%. Barely because they look bright. They like to get the light skin.
They do get the light bright.
And they've been doing that this entire time, though, if we're being honest.
Yeah,
look at BB24. They get the diversity, but it's very light-skinned diversity. So I won't be shocked at that. I just want my at least 50%.
Yeah, I think for BB specifically, they think it's been They know it's been working, so I don't see it changing. I don't even if it's not a official mandate. I think that will still keep the what's it called the pattern of doing it because of the fact that it's been making the seasons better and better and better. These seasons have been more viewed and more viewed. BB24 was viewed a lot, even though I hated the way that was going a route. It had a lot of views because of, frankly, the diversity. If Taylor wasn't black, that wouldn't have happened. No shade. And then we saw 26 was very good. So I do think they're going to continue to keep it on because of how good the seasons have been. Now, Survivor, technically, these have been worse. So I see why they would not care.
Let's get the white people back on here, girl.
Right. They're like, hold on, you niggas not controlling it. But yes. So they go to the veto competition. Mike chooses Holly because he wants her to throw it. And Mike, from the lore that I understand, Mike is the first person who thought of the backdoor plan. I believe it happened before the feeds even turned on. Maybe it was in the early days of the feeds or something. Because I was looking for that conversation, didn't see it. I think the feed started 5 or so days after or something like that. But the streets claim Mike had the conversation with Marvin week 1 very, very, very early as soon as they revealed the twist of the veto. I didn't see it. So, it's Marvin, if you ask me.
To see, even if it's going to be if they're going to put that information in there, because we have to go based off what they're updating. If they don't update it, we still won't see it. But I do want to note, once again, though, if you were here for our BB4 rewind, the term backdoor, the concept itself was first talked about in BB4.
Clock that.
The Three Stooges used the term backdooring in a play to take out Allison. It never worked out. They didn't get the HOH. They never did it. But that concept and term had already been established in BB4. This is the first season they actually do it. So it is, I feel like there's a lot of like, who started it, who did it first. When, girl, I was gagged. They literally said the word backdoor in BB4.
They did.
So it's kind of been a thing. I don't know when it was very first discussed. But, child, we'll see.
Bryn Davis says, the streets say, because Lee just clocked, it originated, if we're really being technical, in Big Brother 4. This was just the first season that it actually occurred. Rin says, the streets say that Mike thought of simply not putting up the target. Mike still allowed for the target's allies to be playing in the veto. Marvin was the one who came up with the idea to not nom the target or their allies.
To just be like, put up 2 random people.
Two people who not going home. Everybody playing the veto not going home. Yada, yada, yada.
It's a gaggy thing. Like, oh my God, they eat Jase the fuck up.
They do. And that's the thing. This is the first season where they're capable of actually enacting it. So even if they did it last season, technically, Allison would have been able to play that veto. Everyone played the vetoes. She could have won the veto. It probably wouldn't have even happened, So this is the first season that is actually able to happen, and it does. So that's really iconic. I don't know what week that is. That's gonna be a fun week, honey.
Yes, girl.
And that's another thing about the equitable comps, because Nakomis had to have that HOH. Nakomis wouldn't have won an HOH in New Era Big Brother.
Honestly, it's so easy to clock when you think about it, because it's like, why would you keep nominating someone who's just going to win veto? Like, I'm not going to nominate you.
Right. Girl, get into it. So, yes, boom. Scott wins the veto. He tells Nakomis to throw it. She does. He wins the veto, and really on the feeds from what we see, there was never any true discussion about renomming anyone. The episode really did edit this in a weird way. It started getting very weirdly edited in the episode in this moment because they were editing as if Adria was definitely a extra big consideration of them renomming and using the veto. They mentioned it like one time, and it was not even that serious. There was so much other stuff going on at this point. And the way they edited it in the episode was not the same way that it occurred. So this is when we're going to kind of divert from the episode for sure.
Yeah, it was definitely like a thought. And I would say they showed it as if it was happening like before the veto even happened as well, like the ceremony. But really, it all happened after like all of the drama that kicked up, and they didn't even show it. So it was like, okay, because there was a period of time where a lot of people in the house were calling Adria aggressive. People didn't like Adria. They felt like she was too pushy. They felt like she was in the diary room too goddamn long. Why the fuck she always in the goddamn diary room? Girl, because she's switching on y'all asses. Hey, and that is kind of where the things came up, but it was never a true consideration. That was not going to happen.
Exactly. So after the final nominees are locked, the girls finally get to start bonding, forming things, strategizing. This is where the real tea comes in, y'all. Lock in.
Some of this is throughout the week as well. Not necessarily all after the veto, but we're just compiling it here.
Right. So firstly, we'll talk about Jase and Holly. Everybody knows Jase and Holly are showmans. They have a whole little cute little segment even on the episodes. In reality, bitch, I don't even know, because I was gonna say in reality, is it really a showman's? But it kind of is, bitch. They're a toxic couple.
They're a toxic couple, and it's because Jase is weird. It's like Jase, he's like ashamed of Holly. So it's like in secret, he loves her. He wants to be with her. They're cuddling. She's shaving her legs. He's playing with her feet, all this other shit. And then when he leaves that room, I don't like Holly. I think she's playing me. About Holly. I don't know. Holly is this. Holly is that. Holly is this. Holly is that. And then he goes to Holly, and he's in love with her again. You know what I mean? So at the beginning of the week, they're having their little private moments at night, and then in the morning, he's like, "Fuck Holly," and then it becomes this thing where it's like he is just so all over the place, and I think it's starting with him not understanding his feelings for Holly, and it kind of spirals, especially towards the end of the week. Like quite literally, Jase's connection with Holly, I feel like single-handedly put him in the position to where his entire side of the house was targeted.
I agree 100%, because first of all, it's his inconsistency with it. I feel like if he would just let it be what it is and move forward, it wouldn't be so bad. He's literally blowing up, and he ends up going off on her, and they're arguing, and it's like, why are we doing all of this? And it's truly because, like Lee said, he's confused. I don't think he understands his feelings for her. So he's acting in a weird way, and it comes off as weird to the rest of the house. And it's like, boy, just sit there, please. Like, you need to focus on whatever you need to focus on. But it's true. Like, he's claiming he's damn near claiming he's in love with her sometimes to her face, and then afterwards he's talking shit about her for the entire rest of the day. And sometimes Holly will peep, and she'll be like, the way you're acting outside of the room is not the way you're acting inside of the bedroom, and it's weird, and I don't like that, and I don't want to be around you. Now, in his defense, Holly is very interesting, and he mentions a lot. Holly is not someone visually love. When she opens her mouth, woo, can't do it.
Says a lot of things, and this is why I meant earlier about how by the end of the week, no one is listening to Holly, and everyone believes that every single thing coming out of her mouth is a lie or bullshit. Even the people who are writing the feeds, they don't take her seriously. So it makes you feel like, what is she saying is true or not, even while it's happening in the house? She's saying things like she doesn't have a brain in her head. She mentioned that she's an art history major. She said she has a cable show. She was electrocuted. She lives with a man with HIV. She said she lived in Hollywood, like the sign, like the actual sign. And then she was leaving used feminine products out in the open.
And what kills me is Karen has a conversation with Will or somebody, and she's like, the stories she starts to tell us are the stories we told her, and she started to repeat it. And then we also saw, I want to say like 5 or 6 days after Karen mentioned this, they talked about how Holly learns a new word, and she uses that word throughout the entire day because she learned a new word. And to me, it felt like the same thing Karen was saying. Like, she hears a story, and then she'll frame a story for that same thing. And so the story is about
the original Raven. Yes,
she is the original Raven. Oh my God. But it's giving very compulsive. And some of the things some of the stories she starts to tell, very problematic, very weird. Like saying that she lived with a man who had AIDS. It felt random and weird, but also that was a story that Karen had told. And then she had a story about other things that occurred, and there was a story that Will had told. And it's like, you're having all of these stories, and all of these stories just seem they just seem made up. And then some of them started getting weird, and they started leaning towards, is this your I guess wrong perceptions of people in life, and you're just now making up stories about these perceptions? Do you have an issue with race? Do you have an issue with the gay? Like, it just started giving, these are your issues that you have, or your thoughts you have, and your perceptions you have about people, and you're framing stories around it. And it starts to feel like you're just manifesting these negative ideals you have about people into these stories, and you're pushing this rhetoric. And that's where it started to get really icky. That kind of led into some of the Marvin beef that she has as well. Because I'm like, are these just the things you feel about this race of people, Black people? Are these the things you feel about men who are Black? Is this how you feel about this? So you're framing these stories, or what? It's just, it got very icky and very weird, and it was very difficult to judge. And everyone on the feeds updating, it's like, the bitch is like, oh, the girl is lying. Everybody in the house is like, the girl is lying. So what am I to think? And then it sounds like lies. If I'm being honest, it
so
sounds
random.
like
a
lies.
lot of the things she said, it comes out. It's like, oh, I did this. Oh, I did it. It got
like,
I have to stop reading her updates, because none of she has no game conversations at all.
No.
Everything's about Jase, or she is uncomfortable around Marvin. You know what I mean? And like I said, she's the only person still pushing this anti-Marvin rhetoric. Even by the end of the week, it's like, even Lori was like, I may not even take out Marvin. I may try to make a deal with him. It's like,
right.
She's focused on so many things that have zero to do with the game. And basically, this annoys the house. And this is what fucks Jase up, because his connection with her starts annoying other people. Yep. People are noticing it. They're getting close. And by the end of the week, there's this blow up situation, because Jase, for some reason, thinks there's a mole in the game. You know, there's someone snaking out and things like that. And basically, he asked Holly, essentially, like, does she have a twin, or is she a twin? Da, 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 da. And she like stammered. She didn't give an answer, because throughout the week she's been lying. She's been saying she has a twin. She's been saying she has a sibling. She's been just saying things.
Saying shit.
So when she stammered, he kind of went off. They had this huge blow up in front of the house. Everyone is like, what's going on? What's happening? They're straight up arguing with each other.
Yep.
And then they make up within an hour. Yep. They're like, oh, well, let's just go out there and say it was all a joke.
Yep.
So they go out there, say it's all a joke. And then Jase is like, separately, it's not a joke. I was taking up for her. Right. She started all of this. She's the problem. Da, 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 da. And then he goes around and admits that, no, actually, I came up with the idea that we should lie. So by the end of it, all of the girls, like, this is what made the girls be like, oh, Jase is weird.
Right.
He's playing Holly.
Right.
He has to go. Up until this point, which we'll explain, you know, he was kind of working with the middle of the house. He kind of almost had a majority, but because of his actions with Holly, it really lost a lot of people's trust with him. And it's crazy because he really could have been at the top of this game if it wasn't for all of this mess.
100%. It just didn't even make sense. And it really comes from a place of him being confused about his feelings, if you ask me. I think that's what causes all of this anger, and him yelling at her and going off, and them arguing and all of this. And then he's paranoid, because it is coming from also a paranoia of him thinking there's this mole. Because he was talking earlier in the day to Scott about, I think there's a mole in the game. I don't know. Da, 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 da. He's getting paranoid. And then Holly has this weird interaction. The interaction is weird. I don't know why she keeps lying about having a sister, a twin. And then it culminates into this, and then everyone's kind of turned off. It's just a turn off. It's a turn off. Like, you're doing way too much. We kind of thought you were more of a level-headed type of player. You're clearly not. You're arguing with people randomly. It just threw off his entire game, which we will get into. Also, another showmance is brewing. Diane and Drew.
Showmance or beard mance?
It is definitely something. It's a mance for sure. Diane and Drew sleep together, not sexually, but they sleep in the same bed. They also
that won't happen.
Oh, they They also sleep in the same bed as Scott, but that doesn't matter. They have this connection. They kind of whisper while they're going to sleep. They stay up very late at night talking. They wake up in the morning and they talk. Everyone noticed that they flirt here and there. Drew does make comments about Diane that she's pretty and da, but he also talks shit about Diane to the boys. So that's kind of causing a weird wishy-washy position. But overall, they're seen by the house as a potential relationship. People are like, I don't know if we can say anything to Diane because she'll tell Drew, yada, yada, yada. Not really vice versa. People don't think they can't tell Drew stuff. They just think they can't tell Diane shit because she'll tell Drew. And for other reasons, honestly.
And it's mainly because most of the people hate Diane. And everyone loves Drew. So if you're looking at the boys, the four horsemen is like, we hate Diane. They're calling her a B word. They feel like she's the most jealous girl in the house. They just do not like her. They do not like how she talks. Even Drew says he would not like someone like Diane because of how she talks and things like that. So no one really likes her there. Then you have the people in the center, Will, Karen, and Lori, who also feel like they can work with Drew. They don't like Diane either. So they're like disgusted that they have this sort of relationship. They feel like she is poisoning him. And Diane stupidly is walking around telling people that she's using Drew. Yeah, because she doesn't want it to seem like she's in a relationship with him. So that's getting back to Drew. That's getting back to the four horsemen, and it's making people dislike Diane even more because it's just a mess. So it's like they have this situationship, and it's helping Drew because it just keeps Drew good with another section of the house. But Diane, she just looks a mess in it because no one likes her, and her being with him, the most liked person, is just making them dislike her more.
Literally. Now, Mary Duda says Diane is the HBIC and the gays.
Because, a gay is going to be friends with a bad bitch.
A gay is going to be friends with a bad bitch.
If you want to find a bad bitch, find the nearest gay.
Now, maybe that happens eventually, but let's get into the true tea behind this girls' alliance, because this is a misconception that I had, that Lee had, that the girls have. So, this girls' alliance, which is the 5 girls and Will, not Holly. So the breakdown, as we saw, Adria and Diane, they start to talk. We saw this on the episode. They start having conversations about sticking together with the girls, and Nakomis pulls up and she also has that conversation with them. Adria, Diane, and Nakomis are in a way a trio. Really, Diane and Adria are more of a duo, but Nakomis is gravitate, period.
I live for the Adria / Natalie and Diane trio.
Yes. So they're really together, and Nakomis leans way more towards them. When Nakomis talks game, a lot of the time it is with them, right? Then we have Karen, Lori, and Will. Will kind of brought them together, and the 3 of them tend to talk a lot of conversation with each other as well. So it's kind of 3 and 3 in a way, rather than this big conglomerate. So we see at first, Karen, she talks to Nakomis and Adria and Nakomis and them, they talk to her, and they are all discussing that they do think they can try to be on one accord with the girls and bring in Will and Drew, right? That's their plan.
Every time there's an alliance talk, we can bring in
Drew. It's so Jason coded. That's what happened with every time. It was and Jason. Us and Jason. What? Girl. And now it's this and Drew. Us and Drew.
Us and Matt.
Me and Bach. Girl. Like, damn. Not you and
Bach. But
why is it Drew?
And basically, when you're reading the feeds, you'll see that it was Karen, Nakomis, and Adrian in this conversation. They were like, we're going to stick together. We're going to weed out everyone else. We can use Drew. We can use Will to get to the end. Diane joins. They kind of all agree that this is the tea we're going to do. Yep. Now, this is where it gets interesting because, like we said, Karen, Lori, and Will is probably the first established alliance in the game to a certain extent, or agreement at least. And they kind of related information to him. From their perspective, they're saying that, well, we were told that they kind of want to just bring you along. So Will kind of already got this information that he's not really a part of the girls' alliance. He's just being used as an add-on. Exactly. And he basically tells them, okay, well, we're going to work with both sides, essentially. We're going to work with the boys. We're going to work with the girls. And essentially, we're going to see who is the best target at this point. At this point in the game, Will was saying that he wants Scott out and wants Jase out, but a lot of their conversations involved Adria being aggressive, them not liking Diane. So it seemed like this girls' alliance was never going to happen because they truly did not like those 2 girls, Adria and Diane.
Exactly. So we'll see how this kind of expands to a little bit more of a different group in a minute, right? So and while this is happening, Adria is also cautious of the girls.
Yes.
She's nowhere as near as cautious as the trio of Will, Lori, and Karen are, but she is like, I don't know if we should tell them everything, but we'll work with them. So it's kind of not connect. They're not connected. They're
not connected at all. And the main dynamic with the girls at this point is really Adria, Diane, Nakomis, and Karen. Right. This is the 4-girl agreement. Lori is not even fully in that yet.
Right.
However, they believe Karen is a part of it, but that she can't be around them for game purposes. At least this is what Diane chooses to fully believe.
Exactly.
So Karen truly does not like them at this moment.
No.
She is fully in with Will and Lori and does not like them. So Karen was playing all in them bitches' faces.
So this is when on the episode we see Diane bring Will in and she has that conversation with him directly where she says she also wants to pull him and Drew along as long as possible. Will has a diary room is like, girl, big mistake, bitch. I'm not doing that. And this is when we see Will tell Drew what Diane says, and then we see Jase, Will, and Drew all talk. Now, on the feeds, we start to find out that there are a lot of conversations with Jase, Will, and Karen. Sometimes Lori and Drew are there as well. Those 5 people, Jase, Drew, Will, Karen, and Lori, have multiple conversations on the feeds all of the time. There's times where it's randomly just Will and Karen, and Jase will walk up to them. I never even knew Jase talked to anybody else. I thought Jase only talked to his 4 horse. I almost said 4 stooges. Oh my God. His 4 horsemen. No, Jase talks to Will and Karen specifically a lot. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, you're always hopping over there.
And that's kind of what led to Karen being upset towards the end because in the beginning, Jase swore loyalty to Karen, you know, and later in this week, we see that Jase, Will, Lori, Karen, Drew, they all kind of pledge allegiance to each other. So by the end of the week, Karen is feeling, you know, basically backstabbed because of all of the things he's doing. They feel like, well, he's probably making this deal with a whole bunch of people, including Scott and Cowboy and Holly.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Which fucks him up. But yes, for a while, there was this agreement between the 5 of them that they could be kind of the more bigger group. And Jase was literally telling them, I can't stay loyal to Scott. Scott might have to go if he gets nominated. All of this, yada, yada, yada. He was just feeding them a little bit of bullshit, of course.
Definitely.
But he was actively working to gain the trust of those 3. And those 3 were actively working to pull Drew and him in. And it was almost going to be a very good thing. Like, this could have been a core group that got to the end of the game, the 5 of them. But by the end of the week, like you said.
I just wanted to mention that Jase and Drew were aware of this position, very aware, because they're in the best position because they have the 4 horsemen plus Marvin / Holly. And now they have the majority with this Karen, Will, and Lori group. So they were directly in the center of the game and on purpose, really, you know, specifically Jase. Like, Jase was really making this happen. And Will and Karen specifically, they really trusted Jase. So it was just interesting to see how quickly his game just turned on itself. Like, he was not controlling it at all.
Mm-hmm. And he was about to be in such a good position. Like, he could have left this week off with the highest rating. Honestly, the highest rating of everyone if he continued on the path he was on with this alliance and then also the 4 horsemen. But by the end of it, he just got so wrapped up with Holly of all people. No shade, but you fucking up your game for Holly? Child. So we move. Over time, by towards the end of the week, Will and his girls, Will and his angels, have decided that they want to still try to stay neutral with everybody. By the end of it, though, they're like, Jase got to go. Jase, Holly, and Scott, that's too much of a conglomerate. It's too close. They're becoming too friendly with each other. Holly and Jase are always with each other. We got to target them before we do anything else, and we'll move forward in that direction.
Mm-hmm. And basically what tips it over the scale is the big blow up that we mentioned earlier. Because of that situation, they all decide. This is when I feel like this girls' alliance truly comes together. After that blow up, Will, Lori, Karen, Adria, Diane, Nakomis, they discussed, not necessarily all in one room, but amongst each other, that Scott and Jase has to go.
Yep. And it's interesting. There was also an argument with Lori and Holly and Jase
Yes.
that is not shown on the episodes. And it was like, damn, that wasn't even shown. But basically, Holly gets told by Diane, I want to say, that Jase actually was not sure about working with her or not sure about liking her at first. And he had to basically grow to be interested in her. And now he kind of is. And when that information started spreading around, somehow it looped back around that Lori was the one who was saying that. Jase calls Lori out about it. Lori's like, Holly, why do you have him calling me out about it? Lori's literally yelling at Jase and Holly on the feeds. They have a whole argument about the Jase and Holly drama. And then the next day or later that night, I want to say, Jase and Holly argue again. And it's like, hold the fuck on. It's
it just
too much.
Too much. It's like y'all doing too much. So it's like he truly sinks his game because of this relationship with Holly. It's crazy. It's crazy because while Scott was always someone like, Cowboy, they weren't really talking about what can happen with Cowboy. He's not getting mentioned a lot, honestly.
Yeah.
But Jase was really in a position to like be at the head of this game, and girl, it all went downhill.
Yeah. So going into next week, all of the girls and the gay have basically been on the same accord that Jase, Holly, and Scott specifically need to be broken up next week if they win. The Jase and the Four Horsemen side of things have had conversations about how they know that Marvin is targeting Lori and Holly. They know that Lori is a part of something that they're not a part of. They feel scared of Lori. They're very, very scared of Lori. They feel like she's this big competitive player. So they feel like they want to target mainly Lori next week. Lori or Karen, or Lori or Diane because they don't like her, or Lori or Adria because they don't like her. They don't give a fuck. A girl. They said a girl got to go, and Lori's the main girl that can go. So that's who they're targeting, and then everyone else is targeting Scott, Jase, and Holly. And that's kind of literally the whole house. Literally. Yeah. And so we slide into the eviction. Mike is evicted unanimously. Is this the first unanimous first vote? Because damn. I feel like every other one has been a flip. Like, we're flipping on this alliance. We're flipping on this alliance.
I can't speak of something as the first because, baby, I really don't remember.
That's T. So he's voted out. Who gives a fuck? No shade. No shade.
At all.
And then we get into the HOH competition, which is majority rules, Henny. Majority rules. They all play. They don't do this anymore, which, of course, they can't because big alliances can just clock it and just vote together. But I loved when they used to do it. And
we definitely need more like fun brain teaser competitions like this for an HOH. I used to love these all the time.
Yes, I love a good booth. Put them in a booth.
Love a good booth.
Love a good booth. So they play the HOH competition. It comes down to a tie between Michael, Lori. Michael, surprisingly, didn't think he would be that far in the booth. No shade. Lori, Holly, and Marvin. Lori literally was in the tiebreaker. So was Holly. Like, two of the nominees, the people who get targeted were literally in the final four of this HOH. And that happens a lot in these old school seasons. But Marvin ends up winning the HOH. He is our new head of household going into the next week, Henny. And lastly, on the episode, Julie reveals that the second part of Project DNA is that there is twins coming in and out of the house. And it's Adria and Natalie. So Adria and Natalie are the twins, and the people in the house are definitely speculative of there being twins. That's why they were mad at Holly, because Holly was potentially being a twin. Adria or Natalie done slipped up saying her own name on the feed, y'all. Girl. Natalie was on the feeds talking about some. I just brought up my inner Natalie girl. They was like, who? She said, I said my inner nastily girl. I brought out my inner nastily.
Girl, get it together. Get it together. They keep clocking how this child Adria stay in the diary room.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know. Like, it's so weird because when we're seeing an Adria update, you really don't know if it's Adria or Natalie. Mm-hmm. I've noticed that there are times where she's more game oriented and she's clocking T. And then there are other days where she isn't on the updates at all. Yeah. So it's giving maybe that's Adria, and then the other one is Natalie because she don't know what the fuck is going on for real.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was thinking.
But such a campy twist. Yeah. Like, Big Brother, they ate this up. You know, it sucks that Liz and Julia were flops and couldn't keep it going. I do love that Adria and Natalie were to keep this up all the way into jury. Like, this so campy. Like whoever came up with this idea, I tweeted this. They need a promotion. They need a promotion, a raise. I hope they're set for life because baby, this is creative. And if I was watching this live, I would be gagging the boots house down. Okay?
I agree.
And the thing is, they were already thinking the twist was happening. Like they kept mentioning, like, "Ooh, I'm noticing for differences in Diane and Drew." So they're kind of already clocking the fact that maybe someone could be switching. Yeah. And no one thought it was Adria this whole time.
Yep. And it's this such a fun twist because even in 17, although Liz and Julia flopped, Vanessa used this to usurp the entire game in that season. And it's like Diva, and it's like that's so iconic. Like that's Thickums. But yes. So any more thoughts on the feeds, girl, or the episode?
I mean, just in general, this cast is crazy. Like problematic as fuck. Problematic as fuck. All of them are saying crazy things, girl. They keep talking about in a joking manner how they can't take out Marvin because it would be wrong to take out the first black man.
Yep.
And it's like they say it in a way of like it's not like oh, we're not gonna touch him because it's not like Homeboy with Marcellus. What's his name? Who used the veto?
Oh, Jerry. It's not like
Jerry and Marcellus, where they're like in this like kind of weird way trying to respect him. It's like we want that nigga out.
Yeah, they're annoyed. Want
people to blame us for taking out black person.
Take out Marvin because he's black, child.
Girl. Shit. And then girl, Scott recounts a story of how he picked up the N-word at the gym with some of his black friends, but he can't say it in the house around Marvin. Girl, Jase and Scott love wearing do-rags. That is their style.
Why do they wear
do-rags, child? Girl, Mike was saying he don't want to lift too many weights because he don't want to look like a FAG, a Nicole Page. But he don't look like he's from Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes.
And it's just a mess. They was also saying how they keep using the word gay, but it's not derogatory because we don't mean it like that. Like that's what I'm saying. Like in general, I'm confused because the stuff that they're saying they're uncomfortable with Marvin is the stuff that I'm uncomfortable with everyone I'm watching. Everything I'm reading, I'm uncomfortable with. So them pin like nitpicking what Marvin is doing, I'm like confused because every time I watch a show from the early 2000s, this is what it is.
It is.
So it's interesting that they have that was such a big issue at the beginning of the week with him and not everyone else. But
literally,
the girl says it's gonna come back up. So, child, let's wait and see on that.
We gonna see, honey. Yeah, even Scott specifically is very like other than Marvin. Scott is very sexual. He's talking about how he was on Playgirl, child. I had to Google, child. He talks to the girls. From what I've read, the things I've read, the way Scott talks to the girls is crazier than the way Marvin talks to the girls. I'm like, why are you saying these things, sir? What's happening? There was a moment where he's like looking at Holly's underparts and he's like, yeah, I can see right through that. I like that. I can see right through that. Hold on, King. What's happening? Child, but they got all the smoke for the black man. Anyways, I think that's all we have for this week. We need to get into the ratings, honey.
Get into the ratings, honey.
Let's rate these girls. Y'all, every season, if you're new here, every season of Big Brother, we do rate the players. We give them a score from 0 to 10. We do give out zeros, honey, because if you are a 0, you are a 0, honey. So we will
haven't done this in a while.
We have not done this in a long time, bitch. So let's get to it. I know that's right. Starting off with
Adria
slash Nerdly. At this point, Adria slash Nettie. I should put both. Adria. How do you feel about Adria?
Adria not doing good, baby. Everyone's calling her aggressive. They're calling her pushy.
They are.
She is really being saved by the fact that Jase and Holly are annoying as shit. If not, she would be a big, big, big target. I think a lot of it is because she can't fully immerse herself because half of the time she's Natalie. Yeah. And that's really a big problem game-wise. There's only so much that you can do. So I think with Adria, I'm just gonna have her at a 3.5. This is not a good first week for Adria at all.
Very valid. She is truly one of the most hated people in the house. Like only under Drew and Jay. I mean, not Drew, Jase and Scott. And imagine that, like you barely beating out Jase and Scott, please. And honestly, that's only on one half. Like there's a potential for Adria to have been to be nominated next week. Truly, even with Marvin as HOAs, there's a potential for Adria to be nominated if Scott and Jase want that. If Cowboy, who was tied in the tiebreaker would have won. Who knows? Adria could have been nominated, maybe even taken out this week, because the boys' minds waver between Diane, Adria, and Lori every other 5 seconds. So she's in a very bad position. I enjoy the reason she's not lower is because she's playing the game even as half the time being Natalie. So I really appreciate that from her. She's trying to form something. She's one of the more active people forming the Girls Alliance whenever she is there. So I like that. Next, we have Cowboy. Honestly, Cowboy is not in a bad position at all. I don't think anyone is targeting Cowboy anytime soon. Actually, a lot of the girls, when they talk about the boys, they say, I'm not worried about Cowboy. We need to target this Jase, Scott, Marvin, and Holly. What about Cowboy? We don't care. You know, he's not anyone's target, and I don't think he'll be anyone's target for a good minute. He is in a decent position because he still has the 4 horsemen. His sister is in the game, and right now they still are kind of talking about game here and there. So that's also a positive. And he's someone who does kind of do his rounds and talks to kind of a lot of different people. So right now it's a good position, honestly, and I don't think he'll be targeted. So that's also a positive. He's not driving the strategy, so I'm not super high on him, but honestly, like, just off position alone and the fact that he seems smart, I think I want to give him a 6 and go from there.
Yeah, I was gonna go with the 6 as well. Basically, he's someone that isn't necessarily being brought into a lot of conversations, kind of like how Drew is. However, similar to Drew, I don't think anyone's looking at him. I don't think anyone is going to look at him. Marvin is the HOH. He's not going to go up. I think the only thing I would like for him to do is create more defining relationships. It's very clear that his only loyalty is to the 4 horsemen. And, we know where that leads him to. So I would want him to stretch out more because he is talking to people. He has relationships with other people, but it's not anything concrete.
Why are they in the chat? Why are they saying Scott looks 50? He does look 50. I don't know why.
It's so weird.
Child, Google Scott on Playgirl if you're over 18. Girl. Alessandro says, Pharaoh, did you really think he was cute? Cowboy? I'm not speaking on that.
He said
Lee,
it, y'all.
I said it. I felt like it's kind of like, oh, look at the little animal. Like, it's kind of in an animalistic way. Like, he's cute. Like, oh, you so silly. You get it. Anyways, Diane. Lee, how you feel about Diane, honey?
Oh, Diane Diva.
Oh, this flop. Oh, God.
Oh, my God. If this was week 1 of 2004, bitch, I would be in here like, well, Diane is going to lose.
She's losing.
Good God. I would be on Twitter like, get up, sister, every goddamn day. Because she's just it's really sloppy. It is. For some reason, they think she's a B word. They've called her a bitch several times.
They have.
People have called her jealous. They don't like her sailor mouth. And she's sloppy with her information. I mean, telling Will straight to his face that he's going to be used as an add-on. Telling people around the house that she's just using Drew. This information has gotten back to Drew. Drew has openly said he don't even like her.
Yep.
Basically, you know what I mean? She is flirting with Scott and told people that she's using Scott as well. That's gotten back to Scott. If Jase and Holly didn't do what they did, once again, she would be a target. And Marvin is the HOH. And realistically, there's still a chance for her to go up and go home because people do not like her. If she's up next to Lori right now, it seems as though Lori may stay depending on the numbers in the game, because they dislike them equally, but they hated Diane first, So I have to go with I gotta go with a 3. I got a 3 Diane. I do. I was going to do like a 2 or something, but I was like, it ain't that bad.
I got you.
Oh, brother. Go ahead and go, girl.
I'm going to give her a 2.5. It is terrible. Y'all don't understand. Reading the feeds every single day. It is Diane this, Diane that, and none of it is positive from the people who she think is on her side. Karen has her snowed, honey. She's like, yeah, we got Karen and Adria. No, girl. The only ally Diane has is Adria. Even Nakomis is barely in on it.
She may not even have Natalie. That's the game.
Maybe not even Natalie. Just Adria. It's really bad for her, and she is truly one of the biggest targets on, I was going to say her side, between her duo, bitch. It's just her and Adria. They both are very big targets, and I think she's even a bigger target because they don't like her. I think she's on, what is it called? Eggshells. If she does one wrong step, she could be gone next. literally next. And I don't love that. The only positive I have about her is that she is actively trying to play the game. But even that's a negative because when she tries, she tells people the wrong information and she does the wrong things. Even her relationship with Drew is getting her in hot water. It's bad for her. Oh, it's bad for her. Damn, this is the worst start we had to.
It's a very slow game.
Will was terrible. We had Will real low.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, someone that becomes an icon within the season.
Somebody.
I would say Nicole probably had a good bad one too because she was on the block. She had without a veto. Nicole was on the block without a veto.
Yeah.
So that was a hard one.
You know, I was gonna say when we were talking about Diane and Allison and them being kind of easily clocked that they flopped on All Stars because they're low key not that great of players. No, like they're great, but in situations. What I also realized is like these are people who didn't really improve throughout the game. Will and Nicole from BB2, they improved. Like they became better players as they played, which was very impressive. And I feel like with Allison, to me, I was like, it's just Allison the whole way through. And I'm kind of getting that same sense with Diane. I don't think she's a terrible strategist. I think she is smart. I think she is coming up with this girls thing. She is trying to pull people in. I just don't think it's working right now. And I think eventually it starts to work because they hate Scott and them so much. And I think she kind of is probably going to play the same type of game. She just becomes in a better position, which is interesting because it's like, this low-key isn't the best type of game to be playing, no shade. And then we saw what happened in All-Stars.
Very Allison coded. Very Allison coded so far.
Yes. Drew is next. Drew is in a great position. And it's so early to where I don't want to start throwing out he's not doing it himself and yada, yada, yada. I'm going to just leave that alone because I do have a problem with these archetypes. I do think him having this connection to the three with Karen, Will, and Lori is very positive for him. Him and Jase have had one-on-one discussions about them doing that, being within that group and using that group to their advantage. He still has the four horsemen. He also has Diane. He is covered in all three because there's three factions. I think he's the only one covered in all three factions because he has Diane and Jase doesn't even have that. So he's in a very good position in the house, probably the best position in the house. And I think he's doing really good at maintaining that. He kind of is in a duo space with Jase because they have the connection to Karen in them, but he isn't seen that way in the house. No one sees Drew as, people don't even know Drew is with Jason Scott. They don't even mention him with Jason Scott. They say Jason Scott and they're using Cowboy. They don't even say Drew, and Drew is still being invited into things. He's in a very phenomenal position and he's maintaining it. I kind of have to give him I think I got to give him a 7. I do. But start off slow. It's not an 8, a 9, or a 10. But I got to start
that's my thing with Drew. I don't think he'll ever be an 8, 9, or 10, but I'll be open to it. I would need to see a little bit more because the word maintaining is the way I have my issue with, because I don't think he's maintaining it. I think that it's maintaining itself. Like the people are maintaining their love for him. Like a lot of times with this archetype, it's not a strategy. It's more so like, I think we really need to break down a social game. You know what I mean?
We do.
We had a conversation about this a while ago where it's like there's social strategy and then there's kind of like a social game. But I wouldn't even say game. It's like social, it's like sociability.
Sociability. Socialness.
Like, what do you call someone who is conventionally attractive and everyone just likes them? Like socially acceptable?
Right.
Like he has a social acceptability.
Yeah, he has a social acceptability. I like that. And I feel like there's a lot of players who have a natural social acceptability. They have a natural perceived likeness to them. And it happens time and time again. Matt, Tyler, Drew, Jason, just to name off a few, they are all similar in a lot of ways. You know which way. So I do think there is an analysis we have to do when it comes to them. However, I kind of go back to, and not that you aren't saying this, it still positively affects their game. So it has to be considered. Yeah. But it shouldn't be considered in the same way we consider an active social game, such as someone like Tiffany Mitchell in BB23, where she's purposefully making bonds with everyone. And then it's hard because you kind of don't know someone's mind. So I don't know if Drew is purposefully cuddling with Diane.
That's true.
The reason Drew, it's easier to depict with him than the other men we mentioned is because he's actually gay. So I know he has come out as a gay man. So I know he doesn't like men. So I know he is pretending in some way or fashion. He does not like women. He's not bisexual. He's gay. So because of that, I kind of do know that Drew is a little more intentional, but that's he has that benefit. And that's the issue is like, I don't, the issue is he's still so similar to Jason and Matt and Tyler that it's like, bitch, are you doing anything? Or maybe with them, maybe there is more intentionality than what we can tell. We can't tell intentionality. That is the difficult part about these people. I don't know. What you think?
I guess to me, it's hard because I feel like I see a lot of people who praise players like that. When I was watching BB25, watching Matt's game, I feel like I was in the Twilight Zone. I'm like, we all think this man. Now, I will say a lot of those people were Cirie stans who thought that he was going to defend Cirie. And if you was here at the Reality Kingdom, bitch, I knew the tea. I said, y'all don't need to trust Matt is going to look out for Cirie. That's not the type of player he is. He's a follower. That's what he was that entire time with no game of his own. And people were like, no, he's one of the best players here. He's socially good. He's strategically good. He's convincing Jag to do certain things. I'm like, girl, what world are we in that he's convincing Jag to do things? You know what I mean? Like, It seems like those players, it starts off one thing, and then people perceive them as this huge, like, big player. And I'm just like, girl, you're like it gets scary when they like start comparing them to like the Dans and the Wills and things like that. That's where it gets scary because it feels like, damn, like, am I missing something? Like, not everyone, because the thing about me is that their charm doesn't work on me. I'm not enamored by Drew, Matt, Tyler, you know what I mean? And I think someone like Tyler is a prime example of someone who can, someone said in the chat, capitalize. Like, I appreciate someone who can capitalize on the well-likeness of them. Whereas it feels like, yeah, Drew is having these conversations because people want to talk to him, but what is it past that? Because truly all he is working with intentionally is the four horsemen from what we're seeing. As far as everything else, is like, well, they're talking to me and I'm talking back. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, no, I agree totally, Drama Simmer. I think Tyler is the best of that archetype. I think Tyler is the one who 1,000% should have won their season. I'm so upset that he didn't win. Like, that is the archetype I respect. It really is. I think there are a lot of people who kind of fall into that Matt, and it's like, people are saying they're a great player, and I just don't get it.
It's hard because they're truly for a lot of these players, they are white men, and white men don't come from a background where they're exposed to a lot of different types of personalities and yada, yada, yada. So I do think when they come in the game and Matt does have a strong relationship with Cirie, that a lot of the times it's because Cirie likes Matt, but also Matt talks to Cirie. Everybody in the house was not talking to Cirie. Everybody in the house was not talking to Felicia, and he was in the back room with them sometimes. And I think that's where people become, oh my God, Dan Giesling, and da-da-da-da. They get so excited because they're like, this is a white man talking to an old black lady. And it's like, I don't think we should applaud a fish for talking in a game where he's supposed to be talking. But on the flip side, some people don't even do that. So a part of me is like, a part of that is the fact that he is talking to this person is intentional, even though that's the bare minimum of Big Brother. Some people don't even do the bare minimum. It's so much to it, and I hate it.
You know, I never saw this point. Ren Davis said that's how I felt about T-Core, no shade. Retrospect, T-Core does fit that.
She archetype. Does fit that in retrospect.
Like,
you're very right.
It's kind of rare when a black woman can kind of fit that archetype. I think that's a fair argument. I'm not gonna lie. I was someone who did praise T-Core.
That is a fair
thing is, I'm a realistic ass bitch though. When T-Core was out here not doing shit, I would get up here and be like, T-Core girl, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Okay. But I think that is a fair argument. I think that
great comparison.
To me, to defend T-Core, I would just say I think that she would be someone who capitalized on it in certain instances. Now, she wasn't out here.
One time.
You know, that one time with that flip. And then I would say another time when she was doing this thing with Chelsea on the Joseph week. But she definitely could have capitalized on it way more. But I do think she kind of did.
Yeah.
But and that was what Drama Simmer said. It's so many layers. It's nuanced. It really is nuanced. Like, because this is a microcosm of the real world. So this social acceptability, this likeness that these people carry, that's what we see in the real world. And we have to now try and think about it in this game term, because at the end of the day, you can win this game anyway, because it is supposed to be a microcosm. So it's like, if you're just liked, if you're just well liked, that's how you can go on and win it. And it's like,
Casey had that as well. I feel like Drew and Casey are similar archetypes in that manner, because Casey had that same likability, and a part of it starts to become, because good players can have the same likability as well. I feel like Paul, who is a socially active player, he also is just socially well, like naturally. I want to like Paul, even though he's an evil person, and it's like he does have a draw to him. They do have a draw to them. So I really do feel like it's something that can be a occurrence in any type of player, even a player who isn't active and a player who is active. And this kind of leads into, what do we consider when we're judging someone's capabilities as a player? Because when it comes to a sport and it's basketball and someone's 7 foot tall and you're like, well, they're only good at basketball because they're 7 foot, they're still good. They're still in the Hall of Fame. They're still succeeding. It's like they have this advantage and they have this natural thing that they didn't work for. They were just born with it and it's helping them, but that doesn't deter them from the success that they receive. So when I'm judging it as a game, I'm like, they still get success from this natural thing that not everybody has. And it starts becoming way too complicated. Honestly, it gets complicated quickly.
I mean, it's nuanced. It's very nuanced, and I think that's a fair argument. Drama Simmer asks about, what about Cody BB22? I think Cody fits into the Tyler of it all for me, where it's like he did capitalize. I think Cody is a really, really good player. I'm not like,
I agree.
Oh my, like when people say he's one of the best, it's hard for me to say that, because a lot of what Cody is able to use is the fact that he's gorgeous as fuck and just beautiful. Right. You know what I mean? I would be all over Cody my goddamn self. He could tell me what to do, whatever, girl. I'll vote myself out, Cody, please. You know what I mean? But it's like, it is hard for me to say best, because I think 50% of that is the way he looks. You know what
he
I mean?
benefited from outside thing. Like he benefits from perception, and he benefits from, and other people are harmed because of perception. You know, other people are perceived in a certain way, so they have to fight against that perception while they're in the house so that they can even try to succeed. So it's like, it's such a difficult thing.
And I think we're able to see that because honestly, we are Black people. So I feel like, as far as like, I think POC in general, we have to look at social connections and social divisions on a deeper scale sometimes. So I feel like a lot of times when people are judging these players, they're not even considering the fact that they're just liked. They're not considering that. Instead of, they're going immediately to, well, they're so liked, so now this. Girl, Donald Trump is liked.
Donald Trump is liked by a lot of people.
A lot of people. Is he the best president in America?
Now, would Donald Trump be good at Big Brother? Probably.
I mean, if he could get to the end and win, but like, am I going to say that he is the most like socially good player in Big Brother history?
I'm not.
No, a lot of idiots like him. I don't know what you know what I mean. So it's like that's where it gets hard. But I'm going to give Drew the 7, and I think there's a reason behind that. The week that Drew is having, he should be leaving this week with a 9. He's not. There's a cap, and the cap is because a lot of this, I think, is just unearned. So I'm going to say it's a 7, mainly because of position. Yes, he can still win this game. They're talking in this week about how Drew could win this game. So, of course, he can win. He does. But I'm going to give him his 10 on that. But other than that, it's going to be that cap, mama.
Total Drama Simmer mentions Azza, which I like that you mentioned Azza, because Azza is kind of a little bit of what we were saying. Azza was not naturally perceived positively. There were comments about her week 1 where they were calling her aggressive. People were calling her standoffish, antisocial. She had to work. Honestly, it didn't seem like it visually, but she did have to work socially to become more liked. I don't think it was as natural as, I think it's more natural than a lot of people, but I don't think it was as natural as the people we've been discussing so far, to be honest.
I took earn directly from Kylan. That's why.
Oh my god!
That's a Total Drama Simmer comment. Yes,
but yeah,
no shade. I think I love Xavier, but Xavier does slightly fall into that category. He is a beautiful, conventionally attractive man, and people wanted him in their core. Now, him not as easily, because there were a period of time where people wanted to target him. You know, the cookout helped a lot with that. Yeah. So I think that that's a positive for his game. He had this alliance. He was the center of this alliance, and that alliance protected the fuck out of him. But, you know, a lot of that goes into it. Like, people kind of just was attracted to you. Yeah. And I think Kylan, he feels like because he is like in a different scenario with being on the spectrum, he has to work to earn those relationships. But girl, Kylan, you fine as fuck too. Right. You know, a lot of that could help you too. I think the thing with Kylan is that he does things that could hurt his game in the process as it goes along. Where if you're a player like Xavier, Drew, a Jason, relatively, you don't do much to ruin your position. You kind of you're even killed the entire time. Yeah. And that's like the main difference. Like Kylan, he gets a little hot headish, which is I love, but it's not good for Big Brother.
Very true. Next we have Holly. Lee, how you feel about Holly, girl?
1. I have no thoughts.
Amen. Next. Oh, I'm giving her a 0. We have even her own alliance wants to nominate. I will say, even her own alliance wants to nominate her. They don't care to nominate. They've talked. Scott and Jase have talked about we'll put up Holly and Lori. They're okay with Marvin doing it. They don't care for her much at all. I think she has slight protection from Jase sometimes, and then sometimes he doesn't give a fuck about her at all, and he tells people to put her up. So she's not playing the game. She doesn't want to play the game. She wants to play with Jase's balls, and that's all. Next we have Next we have Jase. Jase is an interesting one for me because I don't even know what to think about him. He was doing good a lot of the week. He had his hands in a lot of different pots because he had the Karen, Lori, Will thing. He had the 4 horsemen that he was very active in helping create. He does have good relationships with people. The reason Marvin is so connected to them is because Jase and Marvin are like best friends. Jase and Marvin are together more than Jase is with some of the other boys. Honestly, he has great social relationships. He doesn't really like Diane, but even him and Diane talk sometimes. It's like he genuinely is social. He talks to Nakomis sometimes. He's very social. He talks to almost everyone, and he had these game relationships going into the week, and then he fucked it up himself. He's his own worst enemy because he was doing good, and then he fucked it up because he wanted to have so much concentration on Holly and blow up all these situations. He hasn't been maintaining anything with Karen and Lori and Will. So by the end of the week, they're over him, and now he's one of the lead targets going into the next week. Like, he is a target. The benefit is he still has a group protecting him. Anyone in an alliance, I'm going to give them some type of accolades because they have a whole group. If someone on his group wins the HOH, he's not going up. And shit, that happens because Marvin wins. And he's not going up because of it, but he's still such a big target that I think it's never going to go away. You're going to continue to be a target, and he's probably going to continue to fuck up his game. So very confusing. I think his position is very bad, but he's at least in a solid group, and I prefer at least that occurring. Oh, and he was HOH. Forgot he was HOH. His target went home, so that's good. I'll give him a 4, and it's probably going to go down from here.
I'm going to go ahead and go with the 3, mainly because I don't think that I don't like his game style. I really don't. It does feel all over the place, and I do feel like that's why it all came crumbling down, because while he was working to do these things, I don't feel like he had true intention or true like actual thought process behind it. I think he was just doing.
I can see that.
And then it all kind of started spiraling down, and I do look kind of down on that more because you did have it all, and then you lost it all because of your own stupidity. So I have to go with the 3 here.
Period. Thoughts on Karen? Karen is next, honey.
What I've noticed about Karen on the feeds is that she's making these very good social connections with everyone. She's talking to everyone. She's telling them about personal stories. Like, every time it's a Karen conversation, it's rarely game. It's about her art pieces, how she's missing her husband, how she's doing this. Very congenial woman. I like her a lot. And the house likes her. No one is talking about targeting Karen. No one's talking about going after Karen. She has this connection with Scott and Drew that I believe that they still believe is there, because they're not targeting her. And then she also has a connection with the girls because the girls are all sticking together. So she's in a really, really good spot right now. She didn't have the most power this week, but I feel like socially, she's one of the people towards the top of the house. So I'm going to give Karen a 6.5. I think she's working it. I think she's working it in her own little slick way.
You're spilling. She's my favorite player this week. It might stay that way because I already liked her, but she like you said, her particular relationships I really love, because in the trio of her, Will, and Lori, she's the really only one who has built something strong enough with Nakomis, Diane, and Adria. Her and Nakomis talk often. Adria. They talk often. They talk often, and they're the ones who talk about their art because they both do art. I also saw a conversation she had with Cowboy. She had a long ass conversation with Cowboy randomly. I'm like, what the fuck is this? But it's very, I think Karen is socially intentional. I think in her mind, she knows I need to talk to these people so I can move further in the game. And I will say on Cowboy's point as well, he is as well, because he told Nakomis, you need to be purposefully talking to people not in your alliance so you can get good with those people. And of course, this conversation with Karen, good on both of them, because I think both of them are doing just that, talking to people not in their group so that way they can have connections around the house. And Karen eats that shit up, and she does it with so many people. She actually has the Jason Drew group. She actually does have the connection with Nakomis and Adria and Diane. Like, if Adria, Nakomis, Diane ever feel like we're going against Lori and Will, they're not going to go against Karen. They're going to go against Lori and Will, I feel. And same with Jason them. If Jason them are like, we're talking to the girl, it's not going to be Karen. I think she's really just in a very good position. Similar position to Drew, but she had to work for it. No shade. That's kind of how I feel. I feel like it's not as good as Drew's. Unfortunately. So I think that's why I'm going to give it the 6.5. And she's still warming up. You know, this isn't
She's
heavy
revving
hitter.
up her engine.
She's revving up her engine. Next, we have Lori. Lori had a bigger impact on the game than I would have thought, because she is very involved with, you know, the grouping she's with. She was slightly involved with the Jason stuff. But honestly, of Karen, Will, and Lori, Lori is the least, I feel like, active strategically from what I saw.
Or socially, really.
Or socially. Like, she's the one who's the least involved in everything we've mentioned. And I don't love that. And I think that's what's resulting in her being the main one targeted, because they're like, well, girl, Lori could go. Of course, Adria, Diane, and Nakomis, they're not even in anything. But Lori specifically, she's kind of is in with the boys, and they still want to target her, which is worse. Girl, what happened? So I don't love that for her at all. She doesn't seem like she's getting any better. She's arguing with Holly and Jase. Don't love that either. She is the main target. The last target they said was the main target was her.
Yep.
And that's not good as either. I gotta give her the 2.
Yeah. It was a really bad week for Lori. She started off good with the alliance with Will and Karen. Like we mentioned, they almost had the situation with Jase and Drew, which was basically going to be running the house if they actually solidified, but that never happened. And what I noticed with Lori is that with the girls, they had to come to her. With this group, they had to come to her. With the guys, like, people have to go to her. She's not someone who actively goes to people, which is why I feel like the guys are so easily like, well, Lori's a problem. Lori's running that group. They think Lori is controlling the girls. Somehow, I don't know. And it's probably because they don't talk to Lori. They don't know much about what she's thinking. I don't think anyone knows what she's really thinking. All we know is that she's more loyal to Will and Karen. And that's really it. You know, even Adria was like, girl, I don't trust that Lori girl. I don't know who she's. I think we have a rat, and I think it's Lori. You know what I mean? So I'm not shocked if my sister goes next here. I think she does, but like I said, I can't really recall. In general, Marvin is the HOH, and I am considering that since we know the HOH, and he does not like her at all. So going based off the first week and what we know could happen at the following week, I'm going to say it's a 3.
I know that's right.
Who else I gave a 3? I gave Diane a 3. I feel fine with that, a 3.
Next, we have Marvin, baby. How you feeling about Marvin?
Child Marvin. So it started off bad, girl. He had the allegations against him. Nobody was liking him. They called him abrasive. By the end of it, they really started warming up to him. You know, he cooks for the house. They love his cooking, girl. And, you know, a black man gonna throw down over that. Amen. And, you know, he is kind of being used by this 4 horsemen group. He seems to have an actual good relationship with Jase. I think Jase would still choose the horsemen over him. However, they want to use him. They're using him as this shield, but they want to keep him in the game. And I think that's really good for him, because if they had all went in on anti-Marvin, I think it could have been bad for him, but they didn't do that. Most of the house really did not. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of the people seem to have a good relationship with him, at least towards the end. And no one is mentioning targeting Marvin anymore. Like, people were really annoyed with him him. People thought about going after him, but the people really backed off of that. And now he's the HOH, so he can kind of make some changes. The only thing I don't love about Marvin is that he really doesn't have any groups in the house. He's not trying to make any concrete alliances, not even with Jase. You know, it was kind of like, you know, man, I fuck with you. You know, we good together. You know, I respect you. It wasn't like we're in the final two. This is the alliance. You know, he's kind of just floating around a little bit. And I think that's his strategy. You know, in the middle of the week, he was like on the feeds talking about I want to quit. You know what I mean? So it's like he's in the game, I feel like, but he's not playing it for sure. Like, it's not like he's actively trying to build alliances, actively trying to make any moves, at least for right now. He's kind of just floating around. And I do feel like that floating around is intentional. Like, he's not trying to come off as like a big threat. But I am interested to see what he's going to do in this HOH week, because I want to know more of his thought process of the game. Because right now, it does seem like he could kind of get controlled by the Four Horsemen, which I would not love, girl. I would not love. So I think for this first week, I'm going to give him the 5. I'll settle on the 5. It was a rough start, a clean end. No one is talking about going after him, but I'm going to need him to start talking to more people and making alliances and groups. I low-key feel like, if I remember from when we watched years ago, he never does.
Right.
Which I'm not going to love, because eventually you're going to get taken out if you don't have any close allies. So.
Right. Yeah. I agree with a lot you said. He started off bad. He got better. His speaking of social games, I remember someone DMing me asking me about, it was Nick Guy 101, I think. Shout out to Nick Guy 101, whatever his name is. He DM'd me. He asked me about social game and intentionality and not intentionality. And he asked me about Enzo. And I think Marvin's social game is a lot like Enzo's social game, where it's like, it's very based on their personality is exuberance. Everybody kind of really loves them. The only issues Marvin has is with Drew. But even Lori, by the end of the week, Lori was like, low-key, I kind of like Marvin. And Holly had moments where she was like, I mean, the only two people I really don't like are Adria and Diane. And she didn't even mention Marvin. And I think it's because Marvin kind of has that Enzo effect, where it's like him being naturally himself is very entertaining and it helps them. And also the similarity I feel like with Enzo and Marvin is they have a natural likability, and I don't want to say it's fully intentional and they're wielding it in this strategic way, but I do think that they know the effect that they have, and they know that it's helping them in the game. And I feel like he kind of falls in that type of social player, and Marvin is a mostly social player. And I think we'll see more of that throughout the game. But in this week, we kind of saw that the reason he's no longer hated is because he's liked, because he's social, and he made sure that people in the house started to like him a lot. So I think I'm going to give him a 4.5 because he was the target. Actually, I'm gonna give him a 4 because he was the target at the beginning of the week, and I didn't love that. And there are still people who, well, Holly, who is nobody. So I guess I don't even care about that. Honestly, I'm gonna give him 4.5 because what the fuck is a Holly? Hi, King. But yes, very good. Next we have Mike. Girl, not many thoughts. He tried to play the game, and I respect that, and I do like that. I don't think he necessarily did the most wrong things in the world. There's been worse players for sure than Mike. But he's going home, and he flopped, and he went home first, and he didn't really do much positive. I just didn't hate his gameplay, but I didn't love it either. He didn't campaign at all. Didn't like that either. But I think I'm going to leave him with a 3. I'm going to leave it with a 3.
I'm gonna go with the 2, mainly because while I do respect that he tried, it went absolutely nowhere. And then when he started stumbling, he started fumbling, it started spiraling, he started calling people out. It just wasn't good. It wasn't great. I think it was one of those, you play too hard too fast. He reminds me of homeboy from BB10. Brian, is that his name?
BB10 Brian. Yes,
very much that. Very
You're
much
right.
that. So I'm not shocked. I think he's a smart man. I think he's someone he actually is a huge fan. They talk about that in the house, how he is a stan and he really wanted to get on. So I think he just got on, he got too excited, and it all went downhill from there. He's not that good at making social connections. The only person who really was bonded towards him was Diane, and nobody likes Diane either.
Yep.
And Diane dropped him as soon as he became a target. So yeah, not many thoughts.
Very true. Nakomis, she's not doing that much, but what's your thoughts?
Well, Nakomis, interesting start to the game for sure. She was nominated mainly because of being associated with this whole DNA twist. She's really reserved as far as like talking game, even though she's in the trio with Adria and Diane. She's not even talking that much game with them,
Yep.
and she's also earning respect as well with the Four Horsemen. That move we saw in the episode where Scott told her not to do the veto, to not go for the veto, and she said, well, I'm not going to go for it, and then she lost on purpose. He actually said that made him respect her so much. They love Nakomis now.
They do.
So no one is talking about her. It's like, even though she was nominated, there were no question that she was going home. There was not one moment
ever
where they decided that it could be Nakomis. Even though they were like, a girl has to go next week. They could have took out a girl this week, and they said, we're not taking out Nakomis. At all, so I think I'm not going to even take that into a consideration because she was nominated for an arbitrary reason and she was never going to go home in the first place. And I like that even though she was on the bottom, essentially, she was still able to gain favor in the house. I would like for her to break out of her shell a little bit more so she can, like I said, with other people, just gain more concrete relationships, because while no one dislikes her, I feel like no one is attached to her fully, not even Diane at this point. She's kind of just a little bit there. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and give it a 5, mainly because she is nominated, and I'm excited to see where she's going to go from here.
You said,
because I know she gets gay.
You said everything you needed to say. I also give her the 5. I feel like Nakomis is the perfect example of being aware of herself. I think she's fully aware of herself and her own capabilities and how she's perceived and what she can do. And I do think that the way that she approaches things is from that manner, because with the move with Scott, that I think it was so self-aware, that type of move. Most people would not have just felt comfortable doing that. She's like, look, he wants me to throw it. I know I'm at his beck and call right now. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to be a good little soldier for them while I can. And I really do appreciate that. But she still is in on the conversations with Diane and Adria to go against these boys, and the boys are really vying for her. So she's in a really good position. Next, we have Scott. He's so weird. Ugh. Scott is... honestly, I don't even know what to say. He's not really doing much strategically. He's in the Four Horsemen. That's all. He's not a part of any of the conversations Jase and Drew have been having about playing the middle. He hasn't really talked about any considerations of working with anybody else. He's only strategically talked to Drew, Jase, and Cowboy, and that's it. He kind of is in on the plans with bringing in Marvin and bringing in Holly, but he's not the one with the social connection to Marvin. That's Cowboy and Jase. He doesn't have the he kind of has a connection to Holly in the sense that they talk more. But
what's Holly?
But what the fuck is a Holly? He doesn't really provide anything, even for his alliance, which is actually unfortunate. He just isn't doing much. I don't even have that many thoughts. He's a target. I think Jase is a target in front of him right now. That's the only plus he has. But other than that, there's nothing going on up there. I got to give him a 3. What is the 3 for? A 2? A 2.5. Girl, I don't know. What the fuck is he doing?
That's what I was going to start with the 2.5. I just think that, he was benefiting a lot from being associated with Jase. And when Jase and Drew was in these good positions, it helped. But that's not happening anymore. So therefore, he's at the bottom. And like you said, Jase is a target in front of him. Holly may be a target in front of him as well. But he's not playing. He's not doing anything for his own game. And he is in a position to where he can separate from the Horsemen and actually get in good with people, because he talks to a lot of people. Unlike Cowboy does not talk to a lot of people at all. You know what I mean? Drew, a lot of people talks to Drew. It's like Scott, he actively goes and speaks with people, not about game, not about anything else for real. He kind of just saunters around the house.
He's just a yapper.
He's just a yapper, and he's not doing anything with it. So he will eventually be leaving.
Not last and not least, we have Will. Girl, what are your thoughts on Will? He's interesting.
Will, I really liked his game this week. He came in, he was ready to play. Of course, he gathered his own trio of people, and he essentially wanted to center them within the center of the game, which they basically did. They are cordial with the trio of Diane, Adria, and Nakomis. They're also cordial with the Four Horsemen, and they were creating this middle group with Drew and Jase. Now, even though it all fell through, it's still technically mattering because those relationships are there. Specifically, Will has a good relationship with the boys on that side, and all of the girls are talking about still roping him in to their group as well. So I think he did exactly what he wanted to do, which was center himself and center his girls. Now, Karen was on that train. Now, Lori, he couldn't lock in Lori the way he needed to lock in Lori. But not judging on that, I think he had a really, really good first week. I think that he's coming out of this strong. People trust him. Now, the boys did clock a little bit that they know Will is kind of, using those girlies over there. Yeah. But it's nothing major yet. They're more mad at Diane. They're more mad at Adria. They're mad at Holly a little bit. They're mad at Karen. So there are so many people to be targeted before Will. I'm going to give him the 7. Yeah. I am. Yeah. And I think it's similar to Drew. It's a comparison to Drew in the sense that I feel like this is what it means to like earn this position in the game as far as just being well liked. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
I agree with what a lot you said about Will. I really feel like he's in one of the best positions, and it was very on purpose, very active, very much a conscious decision. He told the girls, we're not going to just go with them. We finna play the middle. And then and then they fell in line. And then that's what the fuck happened. It was very, very active. And I love that. I don't feel like it even got clocked, even by the girls who was a part of it. They were just kind of like, yeah, this is a group conglomerate. It was mainly Will, and it was mainly because he's not in the Girls Alliance. They are. They could have just went with that. He said, I'm not in that. So me and my girls, let's bounce. Very much so. And I really do love that for him. I really do think it was a great move. It was a great decision. I think he executed it well. Because another thing is a lot of people, I feel like they want to do what Will does, but they can't execute it. I feel like he actively executed putting himself in a good middle position without coming across as like shady and he's not really a target, because I'm thinking of like, maybe like a modern season or something like that, or just even a worse player. If you're approaching Jase and Drew, these alpha men, and you the gay over there, they're not going to be listening to what you said, but they were listening to Will. They were actively working with Will. I think he has an ability to make people comfortable with him, even though maybe they shouldn't be, because he don't give a fuck about them, you know? But I think he did a really good job, and I'm agreeing with the 7, honestly.
He reminds me, I feel like, of what Michael's archetype turned out to be. Like, he gives that person where it's like, I'm working with y'all, but I'm going to say in the dining room how I don't like y'all. You know what I mean? How I don't want to be with y'all. Very much that. Shout out to Jim in the chat. Hey, Jim. He says this was a great season. I wanted to call that out because I feel like a lot of people don't love this season. Like, I don't know. Like, am I wrong? Like, it seems like BB5 does not get talked about a lot when they're speaking on great seasons. Now, I'm not going to lie. On a week 1 basis, I wouldn't call her out either.
I wouldn't say great.
It is nice to see someone say it was a great season, because I haven't really heard that yet. I think it's definitely very campy. I'm excited to see how I'm going to feel about it towards the end, because going into it, I kind of thought the same that other people were saying, that like, it has a forgettable tone. Honestly, like of lack of better words, it genuinely has a forgettable tone. Like, I watched it and I'm like, all right, that was that season, and that's that. Like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel super groundbreaking in any manner, and maybe I'll feel different by the end of it. But these first 3 seasons, like season 2, we had this big change from Will being this evil person to the winner. Season 3 had this big usurpation by Danielle losing, and 4 we had June and Allison being these super floaters who made it to the end. It's like, what does this have, Drew? No shade, but like, I think it's like there's milestone after milestone after milestone, and then we know what happens with 6, and then next is 7, and then even 8. It's like surrounded by too many mothers.
It's too many mothers. There are too many very memorable in-game situations, and this in-game situation is very unmemorable. I think the biggest memory of this season is the back door, and it's like, I mean,
that's gaggy a little bit.
It's gaggy, but yes, we have our ranking in order.
This ranking is crazy.
It is kind of crazy, but it's kind of accurate, bitch. Damn, it's crazy looking. At the bottom, we have Holly. Very accurate. Above her, we have Scott, a flop. Then we have Mike. Let me move Mike down. I'm going to give Mike a 2.5. No shit. Let's adjust it. I after looking, I couldn't do it. Actually, let me give Lori a 2.5 too, because they should be. Okay,
girl, you can't be doing this all the time.
I'm gonna try to not do this all the time, but that was crazy. Adjustment. Holly is at the bottom. Then we have Mike, who went home. Then we have Scott, a flop. Lori and Diane,
Why is Diane in the bottom 5 worst players starting off this season, y'all?
Did we lie?
Diane, get up. Diane, get up.
Diane, get up. Then we have Jase right above them down there. Damn, it's bad for the All-Stars. It's bad for All-Stars. We have Adria and Natalie at a 3.5. Tied with Jase, actually. Then we have Marvin, and this is when we get to the top 5. Nakomis is 5. Cowboy is 4. Karen is 3. And then Will and Drew are number...
The gays and Pride Month! The gays number 1 and 2 and Pride Month!
The gays!
My God. The gays are running. This is the season for the girls and the gays.
This is the season for the girls and the gays. Now, this might look crazy. If you just came to here and you skipped to the end and you're like, what the fuck is this? These not the episodes I watched. We got into the feeds, baby. Get into the feeds, because on the episodes, this is not what it would look like, I don't believe.
No.
But getting into it, girl, this is the tea. Like, we're actually spilling. I think the reason this season's going to be so fun is because we don't know shit. I don't know shit about this season and the intricacies, but here we are, honey. I know that's right, Lee.
Oh my God, week 1 down, girl.
Week 1 down, girls.
For a minute, Henny.
We was. Make sure y'all get into week 2. On Thursday, we will be covering episodes 5, 6, and 7, which is week 2 of Big Brother 5. And we will also be telling y'all all about the live feeds, of course. So be back with us on Thursday to discuss this next episode, baby. If you are here new and you didn't know we were doing this and you want to watch the episodes we just covered, make sure you watch episodes 1, 2, 3, and 4, because that's what we just covered tonight. And then on Thursday, we'll be covering 5, 6, and 7. Get into it or whatever, period.
Link in the description.
Link in the description, baby. Also, I don't have a picture, but tonight we are going to be covering Love Island premiere, baby. I know that's right.
Henny.
So get into the Love Island premiere with us tonight live. Make sure you subscribe. You turn your post notification on, all of that, because we will be live right after we get done watching the episodes. It might be around 10 Central because that's how long it is. So definitely get into that. And then, of course, every Wednesday and every Sunday, we're going to be continuing to cover Love Island throughout this entire season. So get into that, baby. On Saturdays, we have RuPaul's Drag Race that we're covering. And starting next week, every single Monday leading up until July, we will be doing a Big Brother off-season podcast discussing Big Brother topics, whatever they are, leading up until Big Brother 27, with our coverage coming soon for that, baby. Now, boom! We have a screen. We have images. Reality Rewind is coming back later.
I love the auditory suggestions. We have a screen. We have images. Oh, that's right.
We have Reality Rewind coming back later this year. If you missed our first 2 Reality Rewinds, we covered Jersey Shore Season 1 and we covered Love Island Season 6. So get into those first of all. And then also, if you want to be a part of our next season of Reality Rewind, you can send in your votes for one of these 10 shows that were nominated for us to cover in December. The shows are, if you're listening, Bad Girls Club New Orleans, Real Housewives Atlanta Season 6, Flavor of Love Season 1, Celebrity Big Brother UK Season 17, Jersey Shore Season 2, Big Brother Canada 5, America's Next Top Model Cycle 6, Vanderpump Rules Season 1, RuPaul's Drag Race Season 5, and Dance Mom Season 4. The link is in the description. Send in your vote for one of these shows that you want us to cover and y'all to watch with us this December, baby. I know that's
period, mama.
Period. Last but not least, get into the Scripted Kingdom, baby. I did post my Lilo and Stitch review. I need to update this. I also posted my Final Destination ranking, getting to that. I will be posting soon some other shit. So check out the Scripted Kingdom. The link to that is also in the description or whatever. Period. And thank you guys for keeping it real with the kingdom, baby. We're out. Bye.